Happy Halloween, Jake.
Happy Halloween.
The movie you're making me watch today is not Halloween. It's, in fact, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres. All of them.
All of them.
And you watched every single one.
I watched all of them. Did you see all of them?
Admittedly, I did not watch the 3D one.
What?
I know, and that's the only one that I wanted to watch that one over Leatherface, but I feel like Leatherface was just on Peacock last night, and I finished watching that one.
It's fair.
Or at least most of it.
Alright.
That one's weird.
It's not good. It's almost the most like detached of all of them. Because it's like Leatherface is barely, he's not even Leatherface.
He's just a kid.
He just becomes Leatherface, and then like part of it you think it's some other kid, and then
Okay, so that's the thing, right? So the whole time you're thinking it's not the big kid.
no.
The whole time you're like, that's Leatherface, obviously.
Yeah, because in the beginning they showed him as a kid, and then they put him in like a mental hospital, and then you think it's this kid because it's just like these group of weird kids that escape from the mental hospital.
Yeah.
And he becomes like, and it ends up being the like kind of weak kid. And
Yeah.
I mean, I
Which
think
is
it's purposely diverts you, but it's like a dumb idea.
Did it divert you though, or were you the whole time just like?
I think because it wasn't very good, I didn't really care. So I just sort of assumed it was him because it looked like him. And I didn't put too much.
It's like, well, this is obvious.
I didn't put too much thought into
And
it.
this is the kind of movie that's just going to do obvious shit.
Yeah, and then they kill it, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. But then it's funny because if you look at the cover for Leatherface, it is kind of like a skinnier kid type character.
Give it away.
And then they kind of give it away there, but I didn't even think about that because, again, I didn't really give a shit by watching this because it was so
that's Leatherface
not good.
2017, which in chronologically should be the first movie, right?
Yes.
Not in order of coming out.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you can argue that there's the beginning, but no, because even Leatherface was older in the beginning.
Well, but
so in just Leatherface, he was a kid, so that would have been the earliest of dates in theory.
How many movies? Let's go through the movies.
9 total. I can do them off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
All right, you got
Give me your top 9 Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I was going to do them in chronological.
Okay. From when they came out.
Yeah, I think you have 74. You have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or is it just Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I don't know. There's the and some of them don't have them.
Yeah, they're all different. I've noticed that every single movie, even though they're all have very similar names, have
I think this
different
the
names,
first one. This
continue.
is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like
2
there's
words.
a space between
Chainsaw is 2
but
words.
it depends on where you look at it. I think on IMDb there's a space, but if you look at the poster, there's not a space.
Well, the poster with him on the poster with the main poster of him with the chainsaw and it's clearly a space between chain and saw. Okay. Not that it matters.
Debatable in the space, but
what
either
are
way.
you talking about?
It's just a maybe. All right, and then you have after that though. So that was 1974 was the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, and then 1986 there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I think it was 86. And I think it's just called Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah, 12 years later.
Yeah.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, written and directed by the same guy.
Toby Hooper, very different movies, but both pretty fucking great. And then you have a stinker, Leatherface. This is a different Leatherface. Leatherface : Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Okay, I didn't realize that one was also called Leatherface, or I forgot it was anyway.
And then that one was, I think, 1990. And that one was bad.
You're telling me that there's not a clear
space?
space?
You're right. There is a space.
There's a space.
You can fit the E in between them and right above it, hovering there.
Which chainsaw's not a 2-word thing. Is that 2 words?
I don't think it. I think it's a compound word. Chain and saw are 2 separate words, but
I get that.
I think you can combine them, but I think you can leave them separate. I think it's up for debate because clearly they've done that in different movies.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
So, and then you have the fourth one was Texas Chainsaw Massacre : The Next Generation.
Yeah.
And that is
maybe the best one.
That one's pretty bad. It ranks in the middle for me, but it's pretty fucking bad. I think Matthew McConaughey is the only saving grace in that movie, really.
Yep.
and weird fucking ending.
Yep. We'll
get
there.
into that, yeah. And then...
So those are all the originals.
So those are the first 4 that sort of follow each other loosely.
But they're at least on the same timeline. And they come after in the same world, same timeline, same
exactly.
Leatherface.
Yeah. 1 and 2 are easy to clump together. Then I feel like there's a bit of change ups with the families, and 3 and 4 it's still supposed to follow the same storyline, but there's
even
like
in 2 there's new people in the family,
and there's years later, so it's a little different.
It is a long time later, but same Leatherface for some reason.
So then you got, and then they start remaking, reimagining, redoing,
new Leatherface,
sequeling. That was the Sawyers in the original one, and then they become the Hewitts in the 2003 version. That's called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Combined word.
One word. Massacre also one word.
Texas also one word. And then that's why they call it the Lone Star State. And then...
Is that why they call it the Lone Star State?
Because it's one word.
Damn. I live there. I didn't even realize that.
Well, you're an idiot.
To go back to the names real quick, I think in the first movie, we're not told their names. We're told their name in the second movie when we see Mr. Sawyer. What's his first name?
Well, I think he's just Old Man. I think they just his credit as Old Man in the movie.
Well, there's something. His name. He has something. It's like Todd Sawyer or something. He wins the chili cook-off.
Oh, that's right. They say that. I forgot what they say his name was though. Yeah, while he's like listening to a ham radio while driving a car, and like, does he also have like a phone or something? Like he's doing a bunch of things while driving. I just remember it's a very comical scene. It's a very comical movie.
In the second, the second one starts with Rick the Prick and the other guy driving. Right. The second one is such a turn from the first one.
Oh yeah, because they're like going in a whole different. They're like out hunting, which I think is a cool change up from the original one, because the second one's also like the only one they don't go to the house really, and they seem to focus on the house. Then they're just living underground at this point in the second one, which is such a weird
underground.
Yeah, they remember like the girl falls through the ground.
Yeah.
And they're like weird.
It all
cave
ends
system
on like at the top of that cave.
Yeah, and it's not their house at all, but they do the same.
Was there no house in the second one?
No, there's no house actually. And it's like, but they do like the same like dinner sequence and all that, with like the grandpa trying to kill the girl again, but they're just trapped in a different area. Second one's super fucking weird.
Second one's weird.
But it's like so cornball 80s wacky entertaining.
The first one, so well, let's continue to go.
Okay.
We're at the remake now.
Yeah, we're at the remake.
2003.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then
this is a new time. Well, not new timeline, but this is remake. So this has nothing to do with the original ones. Yeah. And now this is the sequel / prequel, right?
Sequel / prequel would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. And that was 07 or 06?
06.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
now we're in the 2010s.
They start back up again in is it 13?
2013.
And that's Texas Chainsaw or Texas Chainsaw 3D is how it was released. And that was like basically supposed to be a direct sequel to the original.
I almost feel like I want to stop, watch this movie, and then continue, because I'm sad I didn't watch it. I'm upset with myself.
It's okay.
Because I'm looking at the trailer right now, and it already looks terribly awesome.
I don't hate where it went story-wise. There's so many gaping errors to this movie. For one, it's funny because it's supposed to be like it's like the girl that the main character is a girl that's related to the Sawyer family.
Yeah.
Like she inherits the house. And what's funny about it is like she's clearly played by someone.
She's got the mark, right?
Yeah, she's got the mark on her. She's clearly played by someone who's like 20, 25 years old, the beautiful Alexander Daddario. But in the movie, it's still like 2011 or 2013, and she's like she would have been 40 years old, but they act like it was like, and they don't even really explain that. Like they mention that it was like 74.
Okay, hold on. So she's like the daughter of someone she's like basically like
but they never say
she's
her basically
age.
She was born right after.
No, I mean, but like, even though she looks 22, she could be.
Well, she's also hanging out with people that are like clearly like college aged. Like they're clearly college aged, like behavior and look and everything. They're just it's just a fuck up with it's like they could have based it in the 90s, but there's a scene that's clearly they're on like modern day cell phones. So I'm like, well, that's not. If they just made this in the 90s, it would have made more sense. Because like even the other characters that had stuff to do with the other one were like.
It says decades ago.
No, this
residents of New Texas long suspected the Sawyer family was responsible for disappearance.
It's just one of those movies where you just got to ignore like the weird ass flaws, and it goes in this weird direction where like she inexplicably like basically like joins Leatherface because she's part of the family.
Oh my god.
No, sorry, it's spoiler, but it's not.
No.
You gotta watch.
Do your thing, cuz.
Yeah, you gotta.
I've seen enough of. I watched.
Oh, that's
a
right.
lot of these.
That's right.
Do your thing, cuz.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
I have to see this movie.
You gotta watch it. It's definitely it's really bad, but it's entertainingly bad.
At one point she throws him his chainsaw, because there's like corrupt cops, right?
Yeah.
She throws they got the cop on the ground or a guy on the ground.
Well,
he's there. She throws him his chainsaw and she says, "Do your thing, cuz."
Yeah, it's like the cops and vigilantes that burnt down the house. Essentially, the movie starts off like the next day after the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Where like, what's her name?
In the 70s?
Yeah. The girl survives. Sally survives, and then she goes to the police, and then the police show up and like.
But it's set in 2000.
And then it jumps forward.
Okay, copy.
So then it jumps forward. So they like basically like the townspeople and the local law attack like the Sawyer home, and at one point they realize there's a baby in there. So the house is burning down, and someone saves the baby, and the baby turns out to be the main character of that movie. So that's kind of what it.
Not Leatherface, but
not Leatherface, but
Daddario.
Yeah, and we presume that Leatherface died, but Leatherface has been living under the house or some shit for the last while. Like it seemed the house was like remodeled. That
kind of goes with
like,
two.
It burnt down, but also like they fixed it up. It didn't really. There's so much that doesn't make sense in 3D. But whatever. And then 3D got a prequel.
Doesn't need to make sense.
It doesn't. And then
so Leatherface is a direct prequel. Leatherface is connected to 3D?
I think that's how it was, because I think it's like in the same production company world.
Yeah.
So
didn't like
Michael Bay?
Michael Bay joined the fucking party at some point?
He did the 03 and 06 versions.
Okay.
He produced those.
Copy you.
He didn't direct those, but he produced those, which shows because those are actually
terrifying.
I think the highest quality of ones that were made, and I think 03 is fucking pretty damn good movie.
We'll get to our favorites.
Yeah, beginning is also good, but doesn't hold up to the other ones.
The
beginning is the prequel to
with Fast and Furious.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jordana Brewster. Yes,
Brewster.
Yes, Jordana. Yes, she's the girl in the beginning, and Arlie. That was like an Arlie Emery vehicle. They like Ermey. Ermey was so good in like the first one. They're like, let's just make him the fucking villain.
R.I.P. Arlie. Yeah. So that was less like. Leatherface is never really the bad guy.
Not really.
Obviously, he does terrible things, but he's also not. He's just not all there. I think he's
manipulated. Sort of. By his family.
We don't see he could be a bunch of inbreed, like the product of a bunch of inbreeding.
Yeah, it seems like that mixed with like
cannibalism,
heavily influenced, and like cannibalism. His family's cannibals.
Cannibalism can't be good for you.
No, it makes crazy.
There's a reason we don't eat people.
Other than morals, but yeah. If you don't got
those, other than morals, but that's how you get like diseases, like bad, like mad cow disease,
mad human disease.
From cannibalism.
Yeah, cannibal cows.
Cannibal cows, dude.
Mad cows.
Yeah, you don't even eat cows.
I don't. So I'm least crazy of us all.
I'm gonna eat an Uncrustable right after this.
Nice.
That's got cow in it for sure.
Maybe.
And then we have
Leatherface, 2017.
Yes.
I think 2017.
Leatherface. Yes, 2017. Leatherface.
Yeah. Bad. just dog shit.
Bottom of the list.
My bottom for sure. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. It was like a bad version of Devil's Rejects, with like the kids from the mental hospital. Then like they just looped back in the storyline with like Leatherface's family and how his family kind of turned him bad, which they stick to that at least, but it still just fucking sucked.
Yeah. Which is I think that's the most important part is if he had a good family, he'd probably be a good guy.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so Leatherface, and then that is technically
would have been
would
the
be
earliest
the OG,
one because that's
he's the
like,
youngest.
The movie starts, he's a kid. Leatherface is a child, and
in an insane asylum.
And his family tries to get him to kill people, and then eventually he like lures some girl into the barn. And then they kill the girl in the barn, but somehow, that girl is the sheriff's daughter, I think. And then the sheriff basically takes him away from his family to like punish the family, because I don't know if he even realizes like the kid killed the daughter, but takes the kid away, locks him up, and then there was like a mention in the hospital like, oh, these kids they usually change their names to get away from their crazy families, and so that's like a mislead. So we think Leatherface is that heavy set kid.
Yeah.
And he's not. He's the lame kid.
And the big guy's murking people too.
Yeah, he has the build, the long hair. Looks like Leatherface would look. So that obviously
like this skinny kid's got a
red hair.
He's got. And the poster, you're right. The poster is like a skinny kid.
Yeah, and it's just it's there, but it doesn't even seem like the main character.
What is he eating? I guess people. I was like, what is he eating to get that big? But he's probably eating.
At that point, I don't even know. He was just a fat kid.
Just turns into a fat kid.
Mentally handicapped kid. So.
And then we have 2022.
Yep.
This year.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No the. One word. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
3 words.
Chainsaw. 1 word. 3 words. You're right. 3, not 4.
This one was interesting.
This one was great.
I don't think it was great. It had great parts.
It did.
But overall, super annoying, and there was so many.
It did.
Like, why did Sally have to come back? That's my biggest gripe with it. And she was so fucking pointless.
Yeah.
She only came back as 2018 as Halloween. That was it.
Because of Halloween.
That was it.
Because Halloween did it. So
if they completely left her out, the movie would have been just as good as it is. Using the word good in a
I enjoyed manner. The movie.
What did you like about that one?
What I liked is I went into it not like wanting to not like it.
Okay.
And then I started the movie and I didn't like it. I didn't like the direction it was going. And then by the end I was highly impressed. I guess it's not that I loved it. I was more pleased with it than I expected to be. Or then even when I started watching it, I was like, oh, okay, because it's the influencers.
They're annoying kids.
Annoying kids, millennials. They're fucking on social media. They're like gentrification.
They're the Gen Zs. Like, we're the millennials.
I say millennials.
I know,
just
but
because
we're so used to the negative connotation towards millennials.
They're
now
annoying, whatever.
they're even worse.
The kids of the day.
These little woke influencer
I thought the movie
kids.
was gonna be woke, and it wasn't woke. I thought it was good. I mean, and it had one of the
vibes of it still.
Equally effective ending of any of the movies. I think
the ending was great
of any of the movies, including the first one.
I loved the ending. I'll give it that. Like two parts of the ending I loved was the bus scene massacre. Which was like probably the biggest massacre, like body count in one moment.
I think more people died in that movie.
I think so. That movie probably has the biggest body count of any of them, and it was just killing tons of people in the whole back of the bus. And then Sally came in and ruined everything, and it was whatever. She just dies. She just comes in and dies. It's such a fucking waste of time. And then when they're driving away, the shitty sister getting her head chopped. Both these characters sucked. Both those girls were super annoying the whole movie. But when she gets her head cut off, it's such a great moment.
It was the best. And not only that, I mean, spoilers. her in the coming out of the roof of the Tesla auto driving it away and the old out of this old ghost town in Texas. While Leatherface is standing there with her sister's head or her friend's head in her hand, dude, that ending just lived up.
Because most of them end in some sort of way with like the final girl driving away.
Yeah.
So this was like a funny take because it was the Tesla. Like it just made it so like. Okay.
So it was because it was the first one. She was being driven away by the truck driver.
Right.
And it just didn't. And now it's just an autonomous vehicle. Yeah. Like, it was so good. Yeah, it's just so good.
The updated, like whatever.
Pulled her out of the car, cut her head off.
Yeah. But a lot of it, that movie just so much of it didn't make. Like, was that the original? It felt like the original house, but was it the original house and like a town was built around it? Because there was also like a reference to like an orphanage. Like so much didn't make sense about like where they were. It also looked like the house sort of.
Where does that fall in the timeline?
This is modern. So this was like 50 years after the original. I think
do any of the other movies count?
No, I think only the original is in this world.
Okay.
Because they don't reference any of the other incidences. There's other weird shit.
They don't say Matthew McConaughey once.
They don't. They don't talk about him at all. And then Sally is weird, like references like once he always wants you again. Like it's like, has he been looking for you for these last 50 years? Like how do you know? And you ran into this guy once and it was a really horrible day, and now you like have all this weird information about him. Like her whole thing was so stupid.
And that harkens back to Laurie Strode. Like, they should have just made her related in the second one.
It made sense because like it reoccurred a couple times with Laurie. So
yeah, I know, but that's why they did it. Is they're following that. Like, of course we're gonna bring her back, dude. She's still alive. Of course we're gonna bring her back.
I think even like a cringeworthy part with like she was like got in her truck.
Doesn't she save the whole day? She comes out of nowhere after she dies and then shoots him with the shotgun. Isn't that how that movie?
She does, but then he still doesn't die, and then she still dies.
Yeah,
and
true.
then like
of course,
think
she didn't. So she doesn't save the day. That's just how. Like,
and I think one of the dumb sisters eventually gets the gun, then shoots Leatherface, and then they're the worst. And then they fall in the water, and then Leatherface falls in the water, and they think he's drowned. Of course, he's not drowned, and that's when he pops up and chops the girl's head off.
Oh, so good.
Beautiful ending.
So good.
But the Sally shit is just super stupid. And she even has a picture of her friends, like, in her visor. Like, I wouldn't want a picture of the worst day of my life just visible on, like, that's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's, he remembered her friends.
And did that dude buy a town?
Also, was that the picture the hitchhiker took? I thought he burned that. Did they have a camera too?
Yeah, none of it doesn't make sense.
Come on,
none of this makes sense.
That was in the car, right? Like the picture was in the. It was just like, how do we make sure everyone knows who this is?
Yeah,
we take a still from the fucking original movie, make it a Polaroid, and put it in her van.
What's wrong with that movie?
Okay, well, talk about the first one.
All right.
Why is the first one?
We got through all of them.
Such a good movie. What makes Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, 1974, such a classic? Which it is.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's like the first of its kind. I remember us talking about like Halloween last year being the first slasher, but
no, Black Christmas.
Oh, is that what it was? And then, but does this predate? When was Black Christmas? What year was that?
Black Christmas, I think, is the same year.
Okay.
Less than a month later release.
Okay, gotcha.
After Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay, this is the iconic slasher.
So technically, this is the first final girl. This is the first.
Yeah.
Slasher. I guess it's a slasher.
This was I would call this a slasher. I mean, this is like there's a lot of motifs that kind of like started in this movie, like the hitchhiker, like evil hitchhikers, groups of friends in vans going places, things like that.
The spooky house.
The spooky house.
I guess
cannibalism.
When did Psycho come out? Psycho had a spooky
That was 1960. So yeah. It also had like very like gritty indie vibes. It has like a Wes Craven vibe, like early Wes Craven vibes, like Hills Have Eyes,
Yeah.
Last House on the Left type shit.
Yeah, and that's a question that I had was it was set in like 74. It was set in 74 probably, right?
Yeah, or 73. It actually gives a date. It's August 18th, 1973 is when
But
that took place, but it released in 74.
Is it more was it supposed to be like modern day, or was it supposed to be like some kind of like some shit went down, like some solar flare like fucked up the world, and that's why there's like nobody I think it was just modern day. I think there was the movie opens with like a report of like there's been grave robberies. Yeah, there's like grave robberies, everyone's out of gas, nobody's got food.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It does feel like post-apocalyptic vibes, like kind of like a Mad Max kind of has. Like it's
almost
like
Mad Max
leading into the.
What was the movie with Guy Pearce that we watched?
Oh, Rover.
Yeah. That movie was sick.
Yeah,
well, like almost that time.
Yeah, because I know like the first Mad Max movie isn't actually like there yet. They're like getting to it, so I think it kind of does have that. You're right. I haven't put too much thought about that, but I think it's just supposed to be.
I mean, people are eating people.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's not just Texas? Like, isn't that?
I haven't met a cannibal yet, not that I know of.
Not that you know of. You've probably met a bunch, but they don't just like come out and tell you.
I don't know. They're pretty. They're in this movie. They're pretty out about it.
Yeah, it's true.
They're just murking people. But you're right. In the first movie, they're not really hunting, or at least we don't see that. We definitely see evidence of people. So they're hitchhiking.
Yeah, the hitchhiker.
They're hitchhiking, or I mean, they're driving. They pick up a hitchhiker.
Yeah.
He's weirdo.
He's super weird.
Does he have a name, the hitchhiker? Or is he just the hitchhiker?
I don't think he actually has a name. I think even on IMDb they just call him the hitchhiker.
So he's a weirdo. He talks to him about the slaughterhouse slaughter, which I believe is the last name of the family in the first movie. Okay. And I think we see it on some kind of paperwork somewhere that it's never said. Okay. But I think their name's Slaughter, and that house. I mean, the first gas station they stop at, it says like it's called like Slaughter Barbecue or something.
Is it? Okay.
Which I think is maybe hints at that's their name.
I could see that.
Which is also a good name for the family.
Yeah, true. And they seem like they kind of like own this little area, because as we discover, all these little areas are owned by them, like
everyone's
the gas
related
station and all that. Yeah, they're all related. They're all inbred. But really, in the first one, we only meet 3 members of their family, right? Leatherface, obviously, and then like the hitchhiker, which is just kind of his brother, presumably.
Yeah, one of the siblings.
And then there's the father, the old man, and then there's
who's really good at killing.
Right. Oh, and then there's the grandfather.
Oh yeah.
And he's the one who's the best killer, but he sucks in the movie.
124 years old, I think, in the first movie.
Is that what they say? I
think so.
He's super like
because in the second movie he's like
mummified.
130 something.
Okay, yeah.
And I think he's still alive.
Yeah.
In the second movie, in the third movie, I think he's either not even there in the third movie, or he's just dead.
So maybe cannibalism is good for you if it keeps you alive that long.
In the second movie, they said he was on an all liquid diet.
It's blood, baby blood.
Hitchhiker or driver blood. Yeah. So we do see that they have a bunch of cars in the background, or in their backyard. So presumably they have this cycle of people coming through. Yeah. But the question is, because what we see is strictly breaking and entering.
Pretty much, yeah. Like it starts off with them just looking for they ran out of gas, right?
And
the gas station didn't have gas.
Gas station doesn't have gas.
And so they go to the house. And
they're on their way to an old house that they've inherited from like their grandparent, somebody's grandpa. Or
no, not
right?
this one. This one they're just checking on the grave robberies, because like that one of their family members was buried in one of these graves, or one of these graveyards.
To a house.
I don't think so. I think they just stop at this house because they need gas.
No, they go to a house because at one point they're doing like a tour of a house, and she's saying like, "This was my room." It's all fucked up. It's completely dilapidated. But and then he's like the guy in the wheelchair. He rolls up, and they're upstairs having fun. He's like yelling at him, and he goes, "If I have any more fun, I just might kill myself," or something like that.
Oh shit!
You don't remember this?
I don't really remember that. I kind of do, but barely. Yeah, I don't know where they are in the beginning. I just know like.
So yes, you're right. I think they're checking on a grave.
Yeah.
But I also
I think that's their grandmother's. Just Sally and
I think
Franklin
they end up going because he goes.
Maybe that's their grandmother's house.
Yeah, they go to the grandmother's old house because when they go to the gas station, the guy's like, "You don't want to go out there."
Yeah.
Drayton Sawyer, he's the one that does the chili contest. It just came to mind. He wins the chili contest. Drayton Sawyer. But yeah, sorry. So yeah, continue.
They're there, and then. Eventually, they get to the house, and then they are looking for gas, and then the dude just walks in, like, "Hello, anybody in here?" And then they hear noise in the back, and they go toward the back, and then
they're at the Leatherface's house.
Yeah. And the first kill you see is homeboy. He's the driver, and he gets whacked with a hammer.
Yep.
The hammer is the reoccurring, often first death, which I like to see in a lot of these movies. So it's a fun thing to track.
Also very like brutal. That one was the first death is very brutal. Not very bloody.
Yeah.
It takes 2 or 3 hits to kill him.
Yep.
And then he slams the door like Jigsaw. I love that door.
And then next up, the girlfriend's also there, and then she gets grabbed and she gets hung up on the hook. And
but there's the iconic shot that is repeated too, of so they're on the porch first. We're skipping over a lot of parts here. Yeah. So after they go to the grandmother's house,
9 movies.
It's true. They go to his. So yeah, they go in. He gets killed because he just walks into this house. And in Texas, you're allowed to kill people that just walk into your house.
Sure. So this was legal.
This is all legal because they're breaking and entering. They're walking in unannounced. I mean, I guess they were announced, but uninvited for sure. To the house, he kills the first guy. She's sitting on the ropes or this chain swing on the patio or on a tree. Yeah. And the shot comes from underneath the swing. She gets up, follows her butt cheeks all the way into the house, almost like a steady cam shot, maybe before steady cam. And I don't know, man, it was steady cam because they. When did Halloween come out? Because that was like heavy steady cam, right?
Yeah. Well, even like you said, Black Christmas. They used that.
Did they?
As well? Like in the very first shot was like kind of that like first person perspective that Halloween kind of took from.
Yeah. But that shot is pretty iconic. Like there's super iconic shots in this movie. Oh, yeah. One, certainly the first one of him getting hit. I think the most iconic shot is just him grabbing her after that shot. But that shot is repeated in a lot of the movies or tried to somewhat repeat it.
Right.
That low angle butt cheek shot followed up to the house.
Right.
But yeah, then that's other than the very last scene, the next one of him grabbing her and just pulling her inside the house, that is poster worthy for sure. Yes. So that's kill 2.
That's kill 2.
Of not very many in this first one.
No. How did the other guy? Because there's 5 guys.
She gets killed in the hook. He gets killed with a hammer. Although we see her in like a fridge later, right?
She's not dead yet.
No, but then I don't think we see her after that. So she done died.
Right, for sure. And then the other dude. How did the other dude?
So then there's the last 2, and so that's what I love about this movie and kind of like Hostel. And I remember listening to Eli Roth talk about how like we have this essentially haunted house, which in Hostel is like where they torture everyone. And we have a few main characters. We want to see inside the haunted house, but once we see inside the haunted house, it kind of takes away the fun because we know what's in there, or the character knows what's in there. So how do we go inside and outside without letting them escape? Because it's so fucked up, they can't escape. If they escape, it's too easy and it's not that scary. You just send them in one at a time, or you change the perspective of the story. You change who's the lead character at that point, which all of these people are lead characters, but that's what I love is they're like, all right, send them in, kill them off, and meanwhile everyone else is oblivious, and then now we know what's about to happen, and we're scared for them. So it's kind of 2 experiences.
Yes.
So now it's just the wheelchair guy and.
Well, then there's her. Sally's boyfriend, he goes to look for that couple.
Yeah, he goes off first.
Yeah, he finds her in the freezer.
That's right.
And then Leatherface comes up behind him and kills him. Is that a chainsaw, or that the chainsaw doesn't come to Franklin, right?
Okay, so
how does he get? How does he get him
I
there?
think we see him cut up the first guy when he hangs her on the hook, but we don't actually see it.
Right.
That's another thing about this movie is I think Toby Hooper wanted it to be a PG rating.
He did.
So there was not a lot, if any, blood in it.
Very suggestive, but not a lot of gore. There's no sex in this movie. There's no nudity.
Unless
I don't think.
you consider like
there's blood
set dressing.
Yeah.
Itself
like
gory,
splatter,
which it is. There's like real skeletons, real dead animals.
Yeah, it's all off camera.
Yeah, all the killings are off camera. Even the one chainsaw killing that we see.
Just all suggestive. He does a good job with the suggestive fear.
I don't think it got a PG rating, though.
No, it was banned in places, I think, for all I know.
Maybe that's what is. Do you think that's part of the reason why he went so hard on the second one the way he did?
Possibly. I mean,
he's
he probably
just
doesn't
like,
give a
whatever.
fuck. I think because he wanted to send some kind of message. I think he was trying to be like, because even like this newest one was like kind of had like weird woke vibes. I think there was something there about that one, about how like people acted back then. Like, I think, of course, I'm gonna say it. I think there's like a vegan thing with the whole slaughter thing. Like, there's a comparison with like how we treat animals to how they treat human beings. Like, there's
got to be something to say about it.
And so I think there was something like he wanted to get those ideas out there, and this was early horror. So that's kind of what.
Toby Hooper a vegan?
Looked at it, probably, maybe vegetarian. I think he might be a vegetarian for all I know. I think I did see something about that. Yeah, it's not good enough.
How does the boyfriend die? He goes in, he sees her. I think, is he just caught up?
Is that like does he have a butcher's knife or some shit? Maybe it's like a big meat cleaver, and that's a reoccurring weapon, the meat cleaver. Might be
I don't know.
I feel like it might be the meat cleaver.
Is he hooked? Did they hook him too?
I don't think they hook him. I think they just hook the girl. Because I do remember thinking that Franklin is the first actual chainsaw murder.
Yes, Franklin, the wheelchair-bound, annoying guy.
Yes, it's Sally's brother. So at this point, they're abandoned. Like, Sally and Franklin are back at the van waiting for their friends, but they're all dead. So they eventually go into the woods at night and look for them. Leatherface comes out of nowhere, kills Franklin
with the chainsaw.
It's pretty cool.
That's the only massacre we see.
Yeah, it's the only chainsaw massacre of that movie. He gets Sally somehow, she escapes and then runs along, and then she goes into the gas station. She thinks the gas station dude's gonna help her, and the dude just does he drug her or does he just tie her up? I feel like there's drugging involved, but maybe that.
Wait, where does she end up?
She ends up at the gas station, or no? She gets to the house, and then does she escape the house back to the gas station?
I can't remember.
So many of these movies, they're all like so similar. They're all
because I thought when did she get to the truck? Like, she escapes. Well, the truck's after the whole fucking dinner scene.
Yeah.
Jerry's bludgeoned with a sledgehammer.
Oh, okay.
That's the third death.
That's right. A couple hammer deaths.
Yeah, 2 hammer deaths.
Yeah.
1 chainsaw death. It's on this one on the Texas Chainsaw Fandom.com wiki body count. Pam is said to be killed impaled on a meat hook and later froze to death in a freezer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, Nubbins is the hitchhiker's name.
Nubbins
Sawyer.
Okay. Sawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's never said. I feel like it's like one of those, like, they named him later.
Probably.
Yeah. So I think Sally does run to the house, but then she finds like the old, like, dead old people, and then Leatherface chases her.
So she
again.
runs into the house.
She runs
so
in,
that's like the first time a girl just did or first time like the person running away from the killer ran upstairs instead of away.
Probably, yeah. Another iconic thing of running up the stairs, because then she runs out. She jumps out the fucking window.
Yes.
And then she runs away again. That's when she runs to the gas station.
And jumping out of windows is an iconic
Another thing. Yeah.
well, iconic for these movies. Anyway.
Reoccurring for the Texas Chainsaw
I think she
Massacre.
jumps out of windows twice in this movie. She jumps out of a window twice.
Okay.
Because after the dinner scene, when she's escaping, she jumps out of a window again.
Does she do? Does the window up there as well?
There's 2 windows.
Okay.
There's 2 windows in this movie. No window is safe was part of one of my haikus.
No. You know what I noticed at one point? I think it was in Texas Chainsaw the 03 version that instead of jumping out of windows, I noticed Jessica Biel climbed out of the back window of the van, and I'm like, I bet that was a reference to the girl jumping out of the windows.
Yeah, and they in that one, that I love that one, but they did take away.
They changed a lot.
They took away they like subverted the stereotypes.
And it's that one wasn't. It's hard to call that one a remake for me because so many things changed, like the background story, the characters, like whole.
What would you call? Is this the remake, reimagining,
Exactly, yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, because isn't that what a remake is? They're remaking it in their own way.
I guess. I feel like a remake is more like true to the original, but I guess it doesn't have to be.
I mean,
to me,
the 03
to me, it's a
reimagining
reimagining.
Is inspired by a true story.
It could have just been a sequel, but they still based it off of the original. They still said that date that was the original one.
Yeah, because they're set in the 70 in 73, even though they look like. They just came out of a fucking
they're going to a Leonard
Dawson's
Skinner
Creek.
concert.
Oh yeah, that too.
Just drove from Mexico with a bunch of weed, going to a Leonard Skinner concert.
That's true. That's what they were doing.
Not checking on their relative. That's
so the first one was they were checking on their relatives. So yeah, let's end the first one. How does it end?
Eventually,
they
capture
scene.
her at the gas station. Get the dinner scene. The dinner scene is iconic, and then it ends up with like the fucked up part with like them saying Grandpa has to kill her.
Yeah.
And then he keeps fucking up and keeps.
And this is where more comedy comes in.
This is just like the weirdness of everyone screaming and fucking running around.
Try to put a hammer in his hand and bring him over, and he just can't do it.
So she manages to escape.
They do hit her pretty hard with the hammer, but somehow she escapes.
I think she gets knocked down, but then not out. Yeah. So she runs away and runs through another window, and
jumps out another window.
The hitchhiker dude and Leatherface are chasing her down. Hitchhiker dude gets hit by a truck.
Yep.
Leatherface then attacks the truck.
Yep.
And Sally is able to hop in the back of a different truck.
Yeah. So like a semi truck comes up. Yeah. Guy comes out and tries to help her with a giant wrench. He fucking knocks him in the head with a wrench, which slows him down. Instead of getting in the truck, they run through like a corn maze.
Right.
Where he disappears. We never see this guy again, the truck driver.
No.
We don't know if he's alive or dead.
Probably dead.
Nobody cares. She finds herself on a road.
Yep.
She jumps in the back of. Do we even see the driver of this truck? He just pulls up.
No.
She jumps in the back, Leatherface hot on her tail.
Yeah.
And
dude speeds away.
Final, most iconic shot of the movie is her crying. I mean, both.
Both
sides.
Both these two say
her in the truck, crying,
covered
laughing,
in blood. Yeah.
Just she gets away.
Yeah.
But she ain't good.
No.
And him
dancing,
flailing around,
wearing his weird suit,
freaking
Leatherface, and just flailing his chainsaw,
flailing the saw,
doing the chainsaw dance,
and
that's iconic endings.
Great iconic ending. Yeah. I love that movie. How do you rank this in the top or in the
Texas Chainsaw Massacres?
In the saga, I guess not saga. The universe.
Yeah. This one's number one for me. It has to be number one. It's just has iconic moment after iconic moment. It's just so wild, like just the idea of it, the originality of it for what it was at the time. Originality points are big here.
The fact that he tried to give it a PG rating.
Yeah.
And that's why he made it the way he did, and that kind of aesthetic is.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason behind it.
Creepy, uncomfortable, like
very uncomfortable.
It does. It's effective. It does.
It's less like what horror movies were before this?
I mean, to me, they're all like monster movies and stuff
Right?
like that.
Like Mummy,
And then other than
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
other than Hitchcock, like Hitchcock was making like semi horrors. Like he's more of like a psychological thriller kind of guy. But like he had like you said, Psycho. Like Psycho, I think you can call a horror.
I guess Psycho came out before this.
I don't know about like any.
Which
like
which there's something
like
to be said about Psycho and this movie both being loosely based off of Ed Gein.
Okay, I didn't realize Psycho was loosely based off of Ed Gein.
I think he said that.
Okay.
Hitchcock, I think he said like
Because
loosely.
there's no like
just
cannibalism stuff in Psycho. He just has the weird
but
mother
I think
situation.
Ed Gein was less of a cannibal and more of just like wearing other people's skin and
like collecting
like
body
murdering.
parts and shit. Yeah, okay.
Plus, I don't think. I mean, did he even really kill? He dug bodies up and like took their skin and shit too.
Oh yeah, I think
I'm sure he killed people.
I think he did both. But yeah, you're right. He was a grave robber, so that was a big influence on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep, that was another thing.
The whole him wearing collect people's like body parts and wore people's skin, shit like that. I think he was cross-dresser as well.
Cross-dresser,
so I think that was a part of it. That
wearing makeup and shit, especially in the second one.
Weird influences of for Leatherface.
Like wearing other faces and then putting makeup on those faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The first one's definitely there wouldn't be, even though I think maybe some of the other movies, one or two of the other movies might be more enjoyable.
Yeah,
there wouldn't be them without this one.
Yeah, I think so.
So on top for sure, number one.
Number one for sure.
Numero uno.
All right.
Number two,
1986. Another movie. Toby Hooper did this again. Toby Hooper.
Which you would not expect based
does not feel like the same movie at all.
It came out 12 years after. It's not like, oh, this was such a hit, let me make another movie. No.
The original was this gritty, low budget horror like grindhouse vibe. This is like a silly 80s like colorful.
I think it was was it 1980 1986.
Yep.
Okay, copy.
So let's see. And I'm sure it had more money too behind it because the original one was only made for about $100,000. I mean, other than like the ridiculous set dressings and like that end sequence of like on that mountain, which I feel like they made because it didn't look like any kind of hill that I've ever seen. $4.5 million. For this one.
That's not a lot.
Not a lot
not
for
even
that
in,
time.
Yeah, not even in 80.
But compared to 100,000, like it's
is that what the first one was made for?
Yeah. It says 80 to 140,000, so let's call it 100,000.
Yeah,
just for
let's call it 100. Let's call it 200,000.
Yeah,
still not 4
million. No, this is literally 40 times more money. Yeah, in this one.
He they probably all spent all in blood.
You got Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper's a big name. He's like a star, and this area is a star. I mean, this is the same year that
Hopper.
This is the same year that Blue Velvet came out. Another crazy Dennis Hopper movie.
And this came out right before Blue Velvet, didn't it?
It was the same year. I don't know what time of the year. I know this was August is when this came out. So I don't know. I don't feel like looking up.
Copy you.
But either way, like same year. Pretty funny. Dennis Hopper, starring in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Yeah. Bill Moseley plays Chop Top. I think he kind of does some zombie movies, right? Later, Rob Zombie movies, that is. I think he's in some of those.
I feel like he's one of the brothers.
Yeah.
Of the Devil Crew.
Yeah. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Chop Top being the twin brother of the hitchhiker in the first one.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
I think so.
Because they're very like similar, but they're obviously different characters, and like they both have weird birthmarks on their faces in different areas, and
so that guy, Bill Moseley, that's who he did a spoof of Texas Chainsaw Massacre on YouTube called the Texas Chainsaw Manicure. Maybe not YouTube; it was just the internet. I don't know if it was that at the time. He did it was like a spoof on it called the Texas Chainsaw Manicure, where he played the hitchhiker. Toby Hooper saw that, liked it, hired him to be in this movie.
I don't think the internet was around back then.
In '86?
I don't think so.
I think the internet.
There wasn't a video.
Then he was just like on a. They did a spoof.
Made him. Yeah,
that was just my go-to. I said YouTube, then I backed it to the internet. It was probably just on a VHS in a store somewhere that he saw. Either way, I'm sure he saw. Toby Hooper's gonna see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Saw you on Twitch, bro. That's
why they hired him. And that's this. So this has a whole different take on the movie.
Yeah, I mean the family's similar. They kind of because they basically just swap out the hitchhiker for Chop Top.
Yep.
More or less because they still have the presumably the dad and they have the grandpa.
Yep.
And that's still basically the family, the main family.
Chop Top died in the end of the last one too.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Got ran over.
Yeah, R.I.P. Chop Top. R.I.P. Hitchhiker.
Nubbins.
Great guy.
So we get Buzz and Rick driving in. They're the first kills. Okay. We don't really see them die.
No.
Do we? Oh no, yeah, we see the first one.
His head chopped off.
Yeah,
right?
His head gets, or half of his head gets. Yeah. His half his head falls off.
Yeah,
that's pretty great.
Basically, they're just being dicks driving around and
Buzz got a little buzz
face, goofy Leatherface. This is the goofiest Leatherface of any of them. I think.
Yeah.
He's like dancing around all the time,
doing
like
drive-by chainsaws.
Yeah, dancing with a fucking body, like, and then they.
I think they're just a way to introduce what's her name? Stretch.
Because they call while they're getting murdered. They're on the phone with the radio station, Stretch, just fucking around, and they happen to record it. And then she helps the
borderline sexually harassing her.
Right, and then the cop Dennis Hopper goes to her and asks her to play the thing again. So she plays it
because she recorded it. Because back in the day, if you called someone and they answered and you didn't hang up, the line was still open. You both had to hang up.
Okay. Interesting.
That's why she was like, "You guys got to hang up. You're on the line. You're holding the line up."
Right.
And she had to call him, like her guy over every time and be like, "Yo, can you figure out how to hang up this fucking phone?"
Back in the radio days of the 80s.
Yes, definitely no internet.
So it's such a cool job to have back in the
Fuck
day.
Yeah, being a DJ.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they had cool. Like cool names too, like Wolfman Jack. Stretch. I mean, that's kind of a cool name. Stretch just reminds me of the Stretch in Casper, the Friendly Ghost.
Is that one of the ghosts?
Yep.
Okay.
Fatso, Stretch, Casper, and there's one more.
Yeah. So the family is driving around at this point, just I don't know what they're doing, going to chili cook-offs, which makes you think they want a chili cook-off. Do you think they had humans in that chili?
Yo, yeah.
Yeah, for
100%.
Sure. Okay,
that's the whole beginning. So yeah,
I never thought about that until just now.
So Drayton Sawyer he's the reigning champion of the chili cook-off in whatever town they are now. And when he gets the trophy, he's just like, I just have a good eye for meat. You know,
that's
a whole
right,
family is really good at meat, and that's the secret.
Gross.
Yeah, so there's definitely people in the chili. So already, and it's way funnier. It's got a way lighter, funnier tone than the second one, than the first one.
So they hear the recording of the guys getting killed. The family does, and so they go after the radio station. They go to the radio station to kill Stretch.
Yeah, so they send what's his name? They send Chop Top to the radio station. Who's just fucking weirdo scratching his head with a coat hanger, a wire coat hanger. He's like he's like lighting it on fire, scratching his head, and then like licking it. Yeah. While he's talking to Stretch.
Weird guy.
I love how she keeps going, "Okay, cool, bye," and he goes, "Bye," and then she goes, "Bye," and he just goes, "Bye." They do that for about 2 minutes. That made me laugh.
Menacing weirdo presence.
Super menacing. Not as menacing as his brother, who pops out of the back after she gives him a tour of the.
Oh, you mean Leatherface?
Leatherface. We're back. Who they call Bubba in this one.
Yeah, right. His name changes a bit around.
Bubba Sawyer.
So yeah, then of course Leatherface falls in love with Stretch naturally.
Yeah, weird scene where that actually happens where he's like thrusting his chainsaw.
Very phallic motion with the chainsaw.
Very penis-like.
Yeah. And then there's some running around. Then eventually they end up in some fucking weird underground thing after they murder some people.
Not before Lefty, who's played by Dennis Hopper.
Right.
Who's on to the family. He's just there. I think he knows about the original murders and shit. And he's there like trying to figure that out. Right?
Yeah. I think he's been like a Texas Ranger trying to.
He's like the Dr. Loomis of this situation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good call. Yeah,
he's
there just so he goes and buys 2 chainsaws for himself because he knows he's about to get into it.
Right.
And what's better fighting a chainsaw than another chainsaw?
Chainsaw, dude. Of course, naturally. Why not shoot him? Because
because this ain't 2022.
This is fair.
You fight fire with
game.
fire.
Yeah.
Today, fire's a chainsaw.
And I respect Leatherface for not being a big gun guy. He just never.
Yeah, especially for being a Texan.
He's a Texan with clearly an appetite to kill, multiple weapons, but
Does
never.
he have an appetite to kill though, or is he just
No,
just forced to do things for his family? Because in the first movie, he's like, people are just intruding on him.
To be protected.
Fuck those guys. They broke into his house.
Stand your ground law.
And there's even a scene where like he kills the second one, and then he just like kind of sits down and is like freaking out. It's just like.
He gets
What's
upset.
going on? He's like crying a little bit. Like he's clearly disturbed, and his family clearly has a bad influence on him. I don't think he has necessarily an appetite to kill. At least not in the first movie. Maybe the second one. Certainly 3D where he's doing his thing, cause that's like for sure he loves killing. But I don't know. I don't know if he likes to kill. Kind of like his dad, like right or like in the first movie, he's like, I don't really like killing people. Or is that the third movie? Or fourth movie. Fuck.
Some of those blend together for me.
Yeah, some of the family members definitely are. Like when the mom gets introduced.
Yeah, 3 and 4 get a little convoluted because they have bigger families. These first 2 at least more or less have the same structure, other than the nubbins trade out for Chop Top.
So anyway, Dennis Hopper, Lefty.
Yeah,
he's got 2 chainsaws. Him and Stretch somehow end up in the bottom layer, in the underground layer of the Sawyer compound, where they are killing people and then recycling their bones into furniture and futons.
Yeah, a whole bunch of goofy shit happens where like eventually she's like wearing the face as well.
So she has her that's one of my favorite parts actually.
That's her boss, right?
Her boss, LG McPeters.
Cool names.
I forget how he gets involved in, like how he ends up in the house with her. I think he's probably. Oh no, they
killed at the station,
and then he's brought to the house.
Yeah.
So she falls through a hole. She's in a lair at the bottom at one point. Lefty's breaking in some other way, and Leatherface brings in LG to the bottom. He starts cutting pieces off. We're assuming he's already dead. He starts cutting pieces off his leg for some reason. I think not some reason. They're cannibals. He's pulling fillets off. It's a good part of the leg. If I was going to eat, I'd start with the thighs. And then he cuts his face off, Leatherface style. Lefty's still hiding. Mm-hmm. Lefty makes a noise. He sees her, but he's in love with her.
Yeah.
So he doesn't kill her. Instead, he chains her to the ground, hides her, and for extra measure, he puts LG's face on her to hide her.
Makes sense.
And then he leaves. LG's alive somehow, faceless, looking like fucking, what's his name? Nick Cage. He cuts Lefty loose, or he cuts Stretch loose, lays down. Stretch puts a cigarette in his mouth, puts his face back on her. He says, well, shit. And then he dies. I love that scene. When she like nicely puts his face back on him. And he's just, he's just like, well, there it is. Yeah. Sorry, I had to talk about that one. Yeah. And then chainsaw duels ensue. Yep. So Lefty's down there. He's freaking out. He's like, fuck this place. Fuck these people. I'm cutting this place down. He starts cutting. No one's noticed him down there by this point until he starts literally cutting support beams down.
They do a chainsaw fight.
And then, it's Leatherface and Lefty are now on tables dueling chainsaws. He's dual wielding chainsaws. Lefty is. Yeah. I don't know why they call him Lefty. They should call him Dually. But then he dies.
Right.
An explosion caused by Drayton, it says here. I can't remember exactly how that happens.
Right. Like some of the I remember the connective things of the second half of this movie seemed a bit like disjointed. Like it was a lot of
It ended quick.
weird shit. Like I enjoyed the first part on the radio station, then it just got weird. And then the ending was great because it was
wild.
stretch with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
And she was the one wielding it around after she.
Yeah. So it ends. So I mean, let's go through the deaths real quick.
Leatherface presumably he dies.
Leatherface
presumably.
dies. He was impaled himself. Right. Oh no, he was impaled by Lefty. Lefty kills him. Grandpa Sawyer accidentally falls and kills himself. Drayton accidentally blows up a grenade and kills himself, Grandpa, and Lefty.
The whole family gets taken.
Chop Top gets a chainsaw to the chest by Stretch, and then here we go. In a deleted scenes, there's a massacre of rowdy football fans in the basement parking lot. Oh, I wish that happened. But yeah, so Lefty kills Leatherface. Leatherface falls down a hole, and she is left on top of the hill, swinging her chainsaw.
Like is she
Leatherface
the new
style.
Leatherface kind of like she kind of hints
It was
at that.
stupid. It was stupid
because
she does she tries to reenact like his exact dance.
Yeah. And she also was wearing the Leatherface, so there's just hints that she could be the female Leatherface, but they never.
She did have.
They
a
never
Leatherface
made that. They never made that movie.
Well, no, because she's never seen it. Well, she is seen again in the third movie, actually. Lefty. Yes, sorry, Stretch.
She is
in the very beginning of 3.
Okay.
She is a news reporter. We see her putting a cigarette out and then following a camera toward the fucked up things happening.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
3 is very forgettable.
Yeah.
Not
great.
Not a whole lot happened. Couple on a road trip. Encounter the weird gas station. Essentially, it's the fucking Leatherface brothers now. There's multiple. There's a lot more people in this one. The family got. I know Viggo Mortensen is one of them, so that was a cool part.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Viggo Mortensen is he's a hitchhiker, right?
Because he starts as the hitchhiker.
He's asking for a ride.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah. And then we see we think he gets shot. We think it looks like he gets killed.
It seems like he gets into a fight with the gas station guy, but it seems like it's obviously like a trick.
Yeah. Their car breaks down. This guy meets him. I forget his name. Keith meets him, and he's like this weird survivalist dude who's just ready.
It's a very random guy in the woods.
What else happens?
And then there's
Leatherface
there's
shows
another
up.
girl that escaped from the house.
That's right.
And she's in the woods and she finds them. I think they get split up where like is the girl with the Keith guy and then
hold on. We see like something in the very beginning. Don't we see the girl escape? We see like her sister being murdered and then we see her escape. I forget. So like we see that something go down like that.
I don't remember.
Me either. The third one sucks. Bottom of the list.
Yeah, it's my second to bottom.
Yeah.
Leatherface I think is the worst one. This was the worst one until I saw Leatherface.
You're right.
Yeah, this was bad. It felt like a Friday the 13th and like budget and like stylized, like how it like played. Because it was a lot of just running through the woods.
And it was also like it was not bloody or like it wasn't scary at all. It just wasn't. You're right. There was a lot of running. There was more chase than like murder.
Yeah.
I think according to this, only 2 people died.
Yeah, I don't remember who they were. Because I know the boyfriend died eventually. Like he got trapped and he was in the house, and then the main character girl, she was in the house. They did the dinner scene. They had to do the dinner scene again, but this time it was like a bunch of fucking people because there was like a mom and like a daughter. And I guess because it was kind of like almost 20 years later, so I guess it can make sense where like they just kind of keep the families extending, but like
forgettable.
There's just a lot of fucking people in there, and it was just forgettable. And then what
Oh
happened?
no, I'm
she,
sorry.
She
a bunch
escaped.
of people died in this one. Gina, Sarah, Ryan, Mama Sawyer. Mama Sawyer dies. Tinker Sawyer, Tex Sawyer. Tex was
Texas was Vigo, whatever.
Junior is what they called Leatherface in this one. Forgettable. You know what? Let's skip it. Next one.
Yeah. It even had a dumb ending.
Borderline. Yeah, how did it end?
It was like fucking Leatherface was like in the back of the truck or something, and then like or what, not Leatherface, but like the brothers, or one of the brothers was in like the back of the truck, and then they like had to like fight him. I don't fucking remember. It doesn't even matter. I think no, she ran away, and eventually the Keith guy pulled up in a truck, and then she got into the truck and then started driving away, and then one of the brothers was in the back of the truck. It doesn't matter. It's convoluted.
I'm trying to remember, and it's just not coming. I'm looking at my notes even, and I don't even know what I wrote for TCM. Yeah. Benny died, but okay. I guess Benny, not Keith. Benny was the dude. Keith, yeah. 2003, directed by Jeff Burr. Benny died in the original movie, but and this is the kind of shit that probably made the movie suck. Is they screened it, they didn't like that Benny died, so they made him come alive. Because I believe in the end, we see Benny die. We see him get chainsawed, we see him fall, and he goes away. We don't see him again. And then in the very, very, very end, he comes back just limping.
Yeah, and then he was in the truck.
And then so that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here he is. Yeah, I have the least amount of notes for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and my first note is not good.
Yeah. The third is definitely an early 90s feeling flick.
Yeah,
that's what I wrote.
Yeah.
The Saw clown laugh sound is in the beginning. Or Saw is the beginning scene. Gas station.
Road trip, gas station, family.
Let's
it was
move on to next generation.
Repeated a lot
1995.
1995.
One of my favorites.
A high school one.
Top 3.
It's not top 3 for me. Maybe top 5. This is very middle ground for me.
Oh, come on.
I have a hard time deciding.
They threw so much at this one.
I'm in my head. I've flip flopped 2022 and this one in ranking a lot, and I think I like this one a little more because I feel like I enjoyed watching this one more. Where I was more annoyed in 2022, but I loved the ending. Or this was like I enjoyed it, but it was also like cringy enjoying, and then the ending was kind of like, what the fuck was this? I don't like the ending of this one. I feel like it's just kind of random. Cool.
Well, the endings of all of them are a bit sudden. Even the first one, like it just kind of ends. She does escape, but she doesn't escape like she's still is she crying or laughing in the end of that? Like
I think
she's covered in blood.
She's so disturbed.
She's a little happy, but she just also all of her friends are murdered. I know she kind of turns out to be fine in the 2022 version. She's a slaughterer herself. Right. But I think we're supposed to think that she ain't right. Like and this isn't a right ending. This is not a happy ending. Because everybody died, except for her.
Right.
Like just because she survived doesn't mean like it's a very sad ending.
Yeah,
Not only that,
the
main antagonist is still out there.
Yeah.
And as soon as she escapes, like nothing changes. Like this is gonna happen again to somebody else.
Right.
To the next people and it does. So
9 more times.
And so like that, I feel like the endings, except for the second abruptness wise. They all kind of abruptly end.
Yeah.
This one had a little more of a weird explanation to it. But I like that. I like how wild they went with it. It was like the second one, they went crazy in one direction. And then this one, they're just like, all right, what if Matthew McConaughey is like half bionic? What if fucking Leatherface is too? Doesn't Leatherface have some kind of like mechanical aspect to him? There's Illuminati. There's an Illuminati aspect to it.
I also feel like Leatherface is barely in this one. Like I feel like
this is like all McConaughey. Yeah.
is the guy.
He's
like,
the bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, Leatherface is not. He's only coerced by the family.
Still the crazy family. This is a similar family dynamic of 3, where there's Matthew McConaughey, then he has like a brother.
They're still Sawyers, right?
And then there's then there's still the Sawyer family and then there's like a mother and there's like a younger daughter, or like that could have been Leatherface's daughter or something. I don't know.
Next gen.
Yeah. Just next gen.
W.E. Sawyer is now alive.
And this is Kim Henkel wrote and directed this, and he co-wrote the original with Toby Hooper. Then Toby Hooper did the second one by himself, and the third one was just completely no one, unrelated.
Nobody. No
one that was connected
on
to
the
the
third
other
one.
Yeah.
But you said this one he came back for.
This one, Kim Henkel, he co-wrote the original with Toby Hooper.
Copy you.
And then now this is sort of his sequel in a way.
All right.
Which feels a lot like a remake in a lot of ways, other than like the beginning with like the kids were high school students, but like the kill order and like where they were killed and how they were killed were very similar. And there was even like a scene where like the main girl, Renee Zellweger, escapes. Or maybe it was a different girl.
She jumps out a window.
She jumps out a window, then escapes, and then runs to like, instead of a gas station, it's like the real estate lady. And then she's part. And then she's part of the family. Yeah. So it's like it kind of a lot of the like little
Darla
beats
Sawyer
repeat themselves. Like this was closer to me. This was closer to a remake than the 2003 remake.
I never thought about it as a remake. 'Cause, I mean,
it's not.
I don't think it's supposed to. Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
But like how the beats they like did were almost this, and that's why I enjoyed watching it because I started noticing that, and as I noticed, I was like trying to pay attention to it more, so it kind of made it like fun to view. And but then it pretty much goes off the walls because as they have that dinner scene. Then the whole Illuminati shit happens, and then like people that, like we arrange these experiences so people
they have things in their brains that like because we see Matt McConaughey saying all kinds of crazy shit. There's wires and microphones in the walls, and Illuminati's listening, and this goes higher up, and we, if we try to do something, they'll blow up our brains, and we kind of just think he's crazy, but then these guys come in,
right,
and McConaughey says something, and he like hits a button and he starts seizing a little, like he definitely like, so it's all they just went wild with it. It is Illuminati. They do have things in their brains.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it became.
So it's not just a cannibalistic family.
Yeah, and all the while Leatherface is going completely drag. He has like a female bodysuit,
cross-dresser, full cross-dresser,
full on. And
he's called Leather in this one. They just call him. They just shorten it to Leather, which I like.
Yeah. I mean, what else? I don't know what else.
It ends.
About this movie.
It ends. I mean, there's some more great lines. Yeah. I think at one point, when she runs into Darla, the real estate lady, Renee Zellweger, it's just terrible ADR of her running in and she's he's out there with a chainsaw. He's just killing people with a chainsaw. Right. Like also like super calm, like weirdly calm for some reason. Right. I love. There's a few of those, and then when they get into the RV, she's escaping. So it ends with her running through a field, running away from more drive-by chainsaws, running away from Leatherface in a truck, or at least on foot at this point. She finds an RV driving by. She jumps in. Leatherface in a truck now slices the RV with the chainsaw. The RV flips over. They're being chased. I think he's being chased by both Leatherface and McConaughey at this point.
Yeah, I think they're in the truck.
An airplane comes.
For some reason. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
It not even minimally explained. An airplane comes low enough to kill Matthew McConaughey.
Yep. Chops him in the blades, right?
Chops him with the propellers, flies away.
Right.
And then Leatherface runs up to presumably kill Renee Zellweger.
She gets into another car.
Stops. Yeah. A limo pulls up with the Illuminati guys in it. Yep. And then I forget we were saying last time, or last night, I was talking about how he's essentially just apologizes then for this entire movie.
Yeah.
He's like, this is an abomination. Yep. We tried to do it this way and it just didn't work. We threw a lot of things. You threw this at it, and it was not good. And we're sorry. We're gonna. Did they give her like some money or something and like to shut her up or something? I don't
remember. It's like it's like supposed to be like a spiritual experience and shit like that. Yep. I don't know. Like it's just weirdly explained.
And meanwhile, we're seeing Leatherface doing his dance.
Yep, doing the spin.
Cuts to her, and then it cuts back to Leatherface now at night, still doing the dance.
Yep, still in drag.
So he's there for like hours. Weird
That's
ending.
all he does.
I'm not gonna lie, I love that movie.
It was.
I wish I hadn't seen it so long ago.
It's very like clunky, and it was harder to watch. But it was like it's good for. It's interesting. It was entertaining. It's fun. It's wacky as fuck. Like just the end to me, I was like,
than the second one?
I don't think so, but it's very close. It's the second wackiest, easily the second wackiest. because 3D is pretty wacky. You gotta watch 3D.
I do gotta watch 3D.
3D is the third wackiest. If I had to rank them in wacky, it'd be a different ranking than my main
for
overall.
sure.
But
4, 2, 3, 2, 4, 3 maybe.
2, 4, 3D. Yeah.
2, 4, 3D.
Yeah. So that was that was the weird one. And it's funny because that one they almost didn't even release. That almost got scrapped. But like the reason they brought it back was Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey started getting like bigger roles in that same like year within the same year.
Copy you.
They got bigger roles and like I think it was maybe gonna be
so it came out a few years later
or something, and like it came out in '95. I think it was like a year or two later, and they changed. I think there was gonna be a different title. It was gonna be called like The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or some shit like that. But then it changed to The Next Generation. So it's like almost like I said, it was like a semi remake, but it's still like a sequel because they mention the other events. Like there's the movie always starts with that like talks about an event, and like the first one talked about the first one, and then there was like they kept referencing the previous ones, and that happens in all the first 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I also heard that Matthew McConaughey's like representation tried to stop the movie from coming out because he was becoming popular.
Wouldn't surprise. Yeah, like they're going on to do rom-coms at this point.
Yeah,
like, and then eventually those two win Oscars. It's kind of funny. Yeah, that
both of them
won Oscars after this movie. Not for this movie. Not for this one.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Just to be clear, not for this movie.
Pretty,
what did they win for?
What I know Matthew McConaughey won for
Dallas Buyers Club.
Dallas Buyers Club, and I believe Renee
also a Texas-based movie.
That's just true. And then I believe, isn't Matthew McConaughey a Texas guy? He only does Texas movies.
All right.
And then Renee Zellweger, I believe, won for Cold Mountain.
Cold Mountain.
Mountain.
Is that where she wore a fake nose?
Maybe.
No,
you're thinking of The Hours, and that was Nicole Kidman.
Same thing, dude.
Similar,
wait, was Nicole Kidman in Cold Mountain?
She actually was, and this was, I think,
I know
they
my
were
shit,
maybe
dude.
a year apart. But yeah, that's kind of why I like saw I saw the reference, or I saw the connection.
Which movie are we at?
We just did 4, so now we're moving on to the reboot,
remake, reboot, reimagining,
requel, reimagining.
2003.
2003. It's same day, different story, different people.
Same day.
It's because it opens with saying like blah blah blah, okay. August 18th, 1973, blah blah blah. Even though Leonard Skinner was not playing in Texas on that day, I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
But
we should just skip this movie then.
But that same week, Leonard Skinner released their debut self-titled album. That same week.
Copy you.
In the history of
Leonard
time.
Skinner was alive. I'm glad you did that research.
Yeah, because I was honestly just curious. I'm like, that'd be funny if Leonard Skinner had a concert in Texas on that day. They did not.
Just be accurate.
But I was hoping for accuracy. I was hoping for historical accuracy.
Do you think in Detroit Rock City was that a real thing? Was that a real concert that they were going to?
Fuck, that's a good question. I mean, they were going to Cobo Hall, correct? I know that's a real place.
I have no idea.
I know the place was real.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You're from Detroit.
You're
from
know.
8 Mile?
North
mile?
of Nem. Yeah, 12 Mile.
Same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, this was same idea. 5 young adults in a van, going to a Leonard Skinner concert, not checking on graves that were desecrated.
Yeah, they're just going to a concert now.
I'm gonna sell some weed they bought in Mexico.
And is it one of them dodging the draft,
or
one of
them's the next one?
Okay,
that's the beginning.
One of them's
a veteran, and then his younger brother is dodging
not
the
going.
draft.
Yeah, so one of them's going to Vietnam, one of them's not.
Yes,
that was because that was a main
that
thing.
Was the beginning, yeah.
These are Michael Bay movies, by the way.
Yes, so I guess that's he had to have the war stuff thrown in there.
Jessica Biel, 2003.
Jessica Biel, yeah.
And who directed this one? Was it one of the OGs?
I don't think so. I don't think.
Who was the Toby Hooper and what was the other guy's name?
Kim Henkel.
Yeah, I think this is directed by Kim Henkel.
I don't believe it is.
Am I wrong?
I believe you're wrong.
Oh, okay.
I think this guy he did some other good horror movies.
I just have Kim Henkel written next to it for some reason.
Marcus Nispel.
Okay. Did Kim Henkel produce it possibly?
I I think they were Hooper and Henkel were involved in the producing.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think they were involved in these later ones with the producing side. Yeah, Marcus Nispel. He actually did a remake of Friday the 13th in 2009, which I remember not being terrible.
This just says based on Texas
based
Chainsaw
on-
Massacre,
okay,
Kim
maybe
Henkel, and
skip the
Toby
credits.
Hooper. I might have read that wrong.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to delete that from my notes. Continue.
So it's similar part
Kids
with
driving
like
the
the
bus.
kids they're driving, but instead of finding a hitchhiker, they see a girl walking on the side of the road.
She's not necessarily hike and hitch.
You know, she just seems fucked up and hurt, and I think we implied that she must be like a victim that escaped these guys. I'm thinking, because she's like, you're all gonna die or something. Like,
Well,
she's not
she's
really-
certainly like warning them. Don't go.
And
Don't
then
go there.
and then she kills herself.
And then she pulls a gun out of her between her legs
Crevasse.
somewhere. I'm not
Yeah.
sure exactly where.
Under her
Uh,
bathing suit area.
She pulls a gun out and then she blows her brains out. Great shot.
Yeah,
Let's talk about it.
yeah.
Practically done. Great shot. The camera goes through her head.
Yeah.
Through
that's
through the window, out of the bus.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they did that practically with like a weird fake head.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Obviously fake head, but cool. Very
Re-
cool. I like
they
shit
killed
like
a
that.
real person
Killed a real
for that
person to do
shot.
that. That kind
You
of starts the
die
whole
for your
thing
craft, you know.
because now they have a dead body in their car. They stop at a store.
Yep.
Or no, where do they stop? They stop somewhere, gas station store.
It's like a diner bar
Yeah.
kind of thing. To call the police.
Presumably owned by the Sawyers.
Right. The Hewitts.
Oh,
Hewitts in this one.
we've changed names.
Yes.
We're Hewitts now.
Yes.
She calls Sheriff Hoyt,
Right.
and they say they go meet Sheriff. So she calls the cops. She says Sheriff Hoyt is over by the something. Go meet him over by the old mill. I think it's
something like that.
Yeah. So now they got to drive with the dead body over to the old mill
Super stoked to do it.
to meet Arlie Ermy, who's one of my favorite characters in all these movies.
Yes.
He's terrible. He's awesome.
He's like kind of the other. There's always like the main villain isn't always like never Leatherface. It's always like a
No.
family member, and he's the villain of
Yeah.
these two.
He's the
This
and
one
I
in the
guess it's like
beginning.
whoever's the head of the household is
Yeah.
the main bad guy,
Right.
other than
Well, Chop Top was the other one, and then something like that. You know,
Chop
Chop
Top.
Top he was the most menacing, but I wouldn't say
I
want to say he
think
was the head of the
it
house.
would be Drayton. Drayton Sawyer was the
he would have been
patron
the
of
main
the
man,
household at
yeah.
that point.
Just
Although I think they were brothers.
okay.
I
Just Chop
think-
Top was the creepiest.
Yeah, I think they were. I think they're all brothers
Okay.
from either the grandpa or someone else. It doesn't matter. Where are we? We're here, 2003.
They got the dead body in the trunk.
Yep.
Meeting Arlie
Ermy.
I would say Emery.
I think it's Ermy.
I think you're right. I just say
Spelled
words wrong.
ERMEY.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I've heard that. I just say it wrong.
So they decide, like, what happens? He's fucked up. They wrap the body up with just like cellophane,
Yeah.
put it in the trunk of his cruiser, and then at that point does he make him recreate like what happened?
I don't, not yet, but that does happen. I think Jessica Biel and her boyfriend go to the house, right? They go looking for gas, or they go looking for.
Yeah, why do
They,
they?
I think.
leave?
Oh,
Are they just
they need
waiting
a phone.
there?
Yeah, they're looking for a phone because they're waiting for the sheriff to show up, but he hasn't showed up for a while.
Okay.
And they go looking. They go into the house. Creepy guy lets her in to use the phone, and they don't let the boyfriend in. But then eventually the boyfriend goes in, then he gets murdered, and she can't find the boyfriend, so she eventually goes back to the car. And while that's happening,
Well,
that's where
yeah.
Arlie Ermy comes in.
So they meet the kid Jedediah, the young boy. That's
Yes.
how. So they're waiting at the mill. They meet Jedediah. Jedediah says
that's
he
right.
ain't coming. He's
Yeah,
drunk.
That's right.
I'll take you to him, but you can't drive there. So they got to go through the woods. So Aaron and Kemper, who Kemper is a good name because Kemper is a real murderer. Which all the these are all based off of these crazy murderers. So Ed Kemper is a real guy.
Forgot about that.
They go through the house like you said. They go to the house. They find this guy in a wheelchair, amputee. He says, "All right, you guys can come in the house and use the phone, but only he can go in the house. Only the guy goes in the house. He goes in, boom, meets Leatherface.
Yeah.
Is that the first kill we see?
Yeah.
And
Well, I think I think she goes in. She tries to use the phone, and he's like,
reverse that.
yeah,
She goes in
he's
first.
waiting, and eventually she takes forever or something, and then does she see him? I mean, I know he first sees Leatherface. He's the first kill.
Yeah.
The boyfriend Kemper.
She goes in. So the guy in the wheelchair asks for help. He's going to help her, and while he's doing that,
that's right.
Kemper goes inside to look for her and is killed by Leatherface, who he has a name in this one, Thomas Hewitt. Old Tommy Hewitt. Hits him in the head with a sledgehammer.
Hammer death.
Sprays blood all over the television. Is dragged to the basement to make his new mask, a Kemper mask.
Kemper mask. The boyfriend mask.
This is when the sheriff arrives at the mill now.
Yes.
So they find the body. They wrap the body up in fucking...
He's very accusatory of what they're doing
Yep.
and their intentions and whatever they're doing.
He's also very rapey toward the body.
Oh, big time.
He's like copping feels while they're wrapping her up
Yep.
in cellophane.
Yep.
Throws the body in the trunk. Oh, and then we see, and we somebody. I think we cut back to Kemper at this point being hooked.
Oh yeah.
Dude, when did they cut his?
Can't
When does he
tie
cut his
that.
leg off?
I think while this is going, all this other shit's going on. They're basically cutting parts off of Kemper. For a
Oh
while,
no,
aren't
Andy's going in looking for Kemper. The other friend.
they? Oh, okay.
So he goes in looking for Kemper. He gets his leg cut off. He gets hung up on a hook. Salt in the wound. He fucking butcher paper over the thing. So now we're not only seeing the murder, like we're seeing how he prepares the cannibal meat.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. Andy's left leg cut off with the chainsaw. I think he sees Aaron dead already, or Kemper dead already.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm not sure when we see the Kemper mask, but that's a good scene.
I think that's later because I think that's when like Jessica Biel is the first one to see the Kemper mask.
Yeah.
I think that's like it's definitely later on. And then eventually, yeah, then they're kind of back and forth in the house, and then like the car or the van, because then they do like that creepy scene where he tries to like make the one guy reenact like the suicide
he
thing.
gives him the gun.
Yeah.
And then he tries to kill the cop. He tries to kill Arlie Ermy.
Right, because he's clearly a fucking creeper cop.
Yeah, because he's like he's
Basically
making him sit in the
yeah.
exact same spot that the girl killed. So there's blood and brains everywhere, like fucking Marvin in the back of the car in Pulp Fiction. He's making him put the gun to his head. He's like, "Put it in your mouth." How did she shoot? Like doing all that, and then so to the point where he pushes him to the limit, points the gun at him, and then what does he arrest him at that point? Ties him up.
He tries to, and then.
He handcuffs Morgan, drives him back to the Hewitt. So he handcuffs him and takes him home, takes him to the Hewitt house. And let's talk about Leatherface in this one is terrifying. Leatherface is definitely the scariest in this one.
Yeah, he's big, brooding guy. Like he's not like that. Like he's not in good shape in the other ones, but like this one, he's fucking.
He's
huge.
Yeah,
dude.
he's always been big, but he's always been like just this fat kind of.
Yeah, like just. Kind of just out of shape in the other ones. It's not like a big, like menacing presence, like
he's
pro
got
wrestler
like that
style.
Jason Voorhees kind of like
stacked.
Yeah, he's
big.
You don't want to fuck with that guy.
Yeah.
Lineman.
Yeah.
So what happens? He takes him back to the house.
I thought, how do they eventually? Oh yeah, because then it's just the girls back at the van still. Is that what it is? Yeah, because like I know the sheriff finds like weed or something, and then
That's right. He finds the weed, and that's why he arrests him and takes him back to the house.
So he takes him back to the okay.
Aaron and Pepper are tracked down by Leatherface, who's now wearing Kemper's mask or Kemper's face as a mask.
Oh, that's right. Because they're still back in the van. That's right. Okay.
And Leatherface showed up. She tries to kill Leatherface, who cuts her in half.
Yeah, the friend gets cut in half.
Pepper gets cut in half. Aaron runs. Aaron, being Jessica Biel, so hot.
Oh yeah,
so hot in 2003. Probably still hot now.
Yeah.
She runs in. Is this where she runs to that trailer, like the tea house, the tea trailer?
Right.
Where there's a lady who's got a baby, and then like this old Walmart-looking lady who's sitting, drinking fucking big.
Oh yeah, they drug her, right?
Yeah. They're like, oh, you calm down. Like you don't need to worry about that. Just have some tea. For some reason, she fucking drinks the tea.
Right. Because she has to use her phone, and then she's like, we don't have, and then
the phone rings.
Yeah. She's like, I thought you guys didn't have a phone. And then passes out.
And then she's like, shut up. And then for some reason, she's like, that's not your baby, which I don't know why she would just assume that right away. But
right. Give me that baby.
Dude, remember the scene in Under the Skin with the baby on the beach?
Oh, yeah. Heartbreaking.
So good.
It was. Very effective.
Oh, man.
Anyway. Great movie.
So she cuts in half. She's in that no, baby. So so that's when she's talking. Now that we realize this is Luda May, who is the mother of, or this is the mother of Leatherface and Jedediah, who we now know is the kid, or is the brother of Leatherface. Yeah. I don't know. Jedediah doesn't really have a big role in this. I think he helps. He helps her escape in the end, but
yeah, it's weird because Jedediah is the name of Leatherface in the other later movies. Is that's his name in Leatherface?
In Leatherface, right? And his name's Jedediah. No relation.
In 3D. Yeah. That was a weird. That's a weird move to do.
Why do they gotta do that?
Why they gotta do that?
There's not like source material they're basing. It's not like this one's more true to the book.
Right. Yeah.
That's why we're calling them the Hewitts.
Right. Doesn't make sense. But
I wonder who was like, if there was like a Sawyer running for president. 2003 or something. They're like, well, we can't name cannibals Sawyer.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Hewitts. Yeah, I mean, and like this family's also big, like the other earlier ones, but not like the first two. There's a lot of extended people. Like, there's like some females for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, I should say. And eventually, she gets the I know there's a lot of chase.
Yeah, a lot
of chasing.
They tell him that he was disfigured, and that's why he does what he does.
Right.
Where his face is. They take her to the basement, where she sees all of the remains of the victims.
Right. And her friend.
Yep. She finds Andy, who's hanging still. That's not her boyfriend. Is Andy her boyfriend, or that's just one of the friends?
That's one of the friends.
He's still hanging, still alive.
Yes.
And he's not in good shape.
She's trying to unhook him, and that was a fucking brutal part.
He because there's a point where he's hanging, and his toes are on a piano right below him. So he's like hitting the piano keys ever so slightly, and I think there's a point where he like gets a grip with his feet and like almost gets off, and then slips and gets and he's on a fucking meat hook. So he's and you could just almost feel. You don't see anything. You could just. And then she tries to do it. She tries to, and she just can't lift him. And when she drops him back down, oh boy! And then to put him out of her misery at his request, she gut stabs him for some reason. She doesn't go for the heart. She doesn't cut his throat, or something like. She just gut stabs him, which almost certainly doesn't kill him right away. It's probably worse than what he's going through already.
Yeah. You just bleed to death. I'll help you bleed to death.
Yeah. So I think at this point, Leatherface comes in and finds him. Who's Morgan?
Morgan is another. Was that another one of the
Morgan
friends?
the gun. Morgan's the guy. Morgan's the girl who. Morgan's one of the girls.
No, the girl was Pepper, and she dead. There was 3 guys, 2 girls.
Man, gives Morgan. Oh, Morgan's the guy then.
Morgan's like the guy with glasses.
He was the guy that almost tried to kill Arlie Ermy.
Yes.
He was the one recreating the thing. So Morgan busts in, distracts Leatherface, because he's handcuffed to a bathtub. Mm-hmm. Somehow he I think Jedediah cuts him loose. Morgan attacks Leatherface, who then hangs him from a chandelier from his handcuffs, and then cuts him from stem to sternum, as they would say, stem being your dick. Cuts him in half. I think I read somewhere they showed that scene of him cutting him in half, but that was like the NC-17 teetering point.
Yeah. Maybe an uncut version out there, director's cut.
Aranis escapes with the help of Jedediah and finds herself in a slaughterhouse, which is the first time we're actually in a slaughterhouse in all these movies, and where there's so much talk about it.
And this is noticeably, this is the first one that doesn't have that dinner scene. Like, there's the iconic dinner scene, and like that's a big notice.
I think it's replaced with that scene right before. I mean, not replaced, but when she sees because she's in the basement, she sees all the things going down. I guess, or maybe there's a
few things. I mean, there's an introduction to the whole other family in that trailer. Like, that's never in the first one. Like, there's so many things that aren't in the first one that they're just new things.
The
in
windows
this one that I like.
Jumping out of windows, that almost seemed like a thing that didn't have to happen, but
she just crawled out the back window when she saw Leatherface. I think an homage.
I forget it. I guess that is. Yeah.
There's just so many differences where it's just
few differences. The hitchhikers. It's not a hitchhiker. It's not a guy. It's a girl.
Like, really, the only thing
she
is
kills herself instead of doing it.
Same date and 5 friends. Like, there's not even a handicap kid. That's not her brother. That's not Sally. That's Aaron. That's just all these.
There's nobody in a wheelchair in this one?
No, I thought the glasses guy was going to be in a wheelchair, but then he wasn't. He was just the dorky friend.
He should have been in a
wheelchair guys.
I love this one, though. I think this is the first one I saw.
I like this one a lot, too, and I think this is the first one I saw as well. I don't think I saw the original before I saw this, because this was like
This is right when we were growing, right when I was into these kinds of movies. This is the movie I wanted to watch.
Peak time, and this is my second favorite of the bunch, right after the original. Like, this is actually, I think, the best made and like probably the most entertaining one.
And for $9.5 million, which in 2003 is not a lot.
That's not a lot for that. I thought it'd be more, actually. I thought
$9.5 million. Box office 107. Yeah. They made $100 million.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That's why they made the sequel. So she escapes.
She does.
She escapes in a semi truck, right? She gets in a truck and just drives off.
She drives over Hoyt, Arlie Ermey. 3 times. And then Leatherface tries to get her, but she, just drives past him, and he does the chainsaw dance in the street. But then she just drives off. And I think
she's driving away, right? And then he hits her, almost like she got away, and then he comes out of nowhere with a chainsaw, presumably like, oh no, but then she gets away.
Right. So that's pretty much that one. Then she gets away with the baby. She takes the baby.
And then it pans down. Oh, because there's that whole scene. And this is kind of harkens back to the first one with the semi truck, because the scene's ending with her like, that's not your baby. She escapes. She runs to the street, gets in a car. We see her hiding or trying to hotwire a car, and then we see it's cutting back with Arlie Ermey going up to a car. So now he's going up to a truck. She's in a truck. He's about to open the truck. She's about to start the truck. He opens the truck. It's a different truck. Yeah. The lights turn on in the truck behind him, and then it runs over. So we're that whole like back and forth. We think she's about to get caught, and she's not. Love that. Yeah. She runs him over 2 or 3 times, but that harkens back to the like, why didn't she just drive away in that semi truck in the first movie? They just get in it and then get out the other side when they could have just closed the door and drove away. Right. I feel like maybe that was and then she drives away, runs over Hoyt a few times, and then she's kind of laughing, crying, and then she pans down or pan down to the baby. She saved the baby. That's not your baby. Spoiler: it probably was their baby. Right. She just committed kidnapping.
So to throw back to you said something about there was some original people from the original one that's on this one. DP. The same DP was the original movie and this movie.
Copy you.
Which is, they look completely different, but like it's cool.
In my note here it says, I don't think I knew that, but in my notes here it says best visuals since the first one. That's
I agree. Yeah, kind of gritty, kind of but still like a little
Scary.
more polished because it was fresher and newer.
Definitely more polished, but it was genuinely scary. There were scary parts.
They did a good job. It was a good movie. Like that was one of the few that I would actually call like this was a good movie. Then we have The Beginning next.
The Beginning.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning,
which we've talked about. Oh wait, no. This is the remake.
This was the
we talked about
prequel
Leatherface.
to this new one, and this was like another group of. This was 4 young adults road tripping. I don't understand the point of the road trip because the point of the road trip was apparently they were driving across country to enlist in the army, which
I think that's what it was.
Why do you got to drive across country to enlist in the army?
You don't.
I don't think you do. Yeah.
Yeah. They were all drafted anyway. So
yeah. So it was 1969, I believe, is when this was based. So this was a few years before the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and because that was 73.
Produced by Toby Hooper, Kim Hinkle.
Oh, so they produced this one. Okay, cool. So they are tied into these.
Tied.
Cool. And so yeah, it's the 2 guys. One's a veteran. His younger brother is the one on the list. The main girl is Jordana Brewster from the Fast and the Furious fame.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who the other girl is.
Taylor Handley, Diora Bard, Matt Baumer, Lee Turgeson, and Arlie Ermy.
Yeah. All right.
Cinematography by Lucas Etlin. Was that the same dude?
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
All right.
And
no.
All right, so this one,
this
one does show Leatherface being born at one point in this one. So this is kind of the earliest. Actually,
okay, copy you.
There's the early because he's a dumpster baby, because his mom gave birth in like the slaughterhouse, and then the guy who owns the slaughterhouse throws him in the trash.
You're right, and then he ends up working at the slaughterhouse.
And he ends up working in the slaughterhouse
for that guy.
Yeah.
I guess, but. These 2 movies I would consider just independent from even all the other ones, right? Because it's a reimagining, reboot,
pretty much.
remake.
I know. Well,
right?
this is a prequel to the 2003 version.
Yeah.
So I don't think
the 2003 version has nothing.
It's sort of like
a remake of the 74. So there's nothing harkening back.
No, it's no references
other
directly
than like homages.
to because there's still the Hewitt family, and this one technically it's Arlie.
So
Ermy
even though we see Leatherface younger, I wouldn't consider this before Leatherface 2017.
Okay,
it's
true,
different universe,
different world, different universe.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yes. He is the youngest we've seen him of any movie.
Yeah. So I like this one. It ranks high for me because I feel like the quality was good and Arlie Ermy was good, but I'm having trouble really remembering a lot of what was good about it. I remember liking the end. I know like the brothers, there was the stuff about like the conflict with the brothers in the army. I remember the characters being a little bit more flushed out than a lot of them in other movies.
Yeah. I think the main
storyline wasn't, it was what about?
It's about Arlie Ermy.
About Arlie Ermy manipulating Tommy.
Like we see. It's just one of those. It's one of those ones that was like. Obviously, the first one did so good they had to make a second one. The budget was doubled on this one.
Right.
So, they made half the box office. Made half.
So that's why they
so it's one of those like. Did you ever see the movie? You're not a big Star Wars fan.
Star Wars?
Yeah.
I've seen all of them.
The original ones. So you like the original ones.
I mean, I've seen all of them.
You talk shit on the other ones.
Yeah, the other ones I don't
Solo,
really like
though.
that much.
So when it comes to Solo, it's just like, let's explain shit that doesn't need explaining.
Yeah.
Let's explain why this one thing from set dressing was here.
You're right.
40 years ago.
They did a lot of that.
And that's kind of how I felt.
Like a certain parts of this lost his legs. All these little things.
Yes. How he got his teeth, how he became the sheriff. It was just like, well, this one's good. Let's explain it. But and I don't think that was necessary, though I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. It wasn't necessary, but I didn't hate it. To me, it was I remember enjoying watching it. It wasn't great, but the process of watching was good. Arlie Ermy was great. So it ranks higher for me. For some reason, I have it ranked above next gen, just because I think the quality's better, and obviously it was a lot more money was made with it or put into it. But yeah, it starts with he's a dumpster baby, and then he works in that same slaughterhouse. He gets mad at his boss and kills his boss, and then the boss comes or calls the cop, or somehow the cops find out. They go after Leatherface, and then Arlie Ermey kills the cop, and then essentially becomes the cop because it's such a small town. It's only a one-cop town, and now Arlie Ermey's that cop, and it's pretty much just that Hewitt family. And some time passes, and then we meet those kids, or the young adults, traveling through. Same shit. Where what? They get in a car accident or something? Is that what happens?
I forget how something happens.
Yeah, I think they got in a car accident. There's definitely a car accident scene.
They run into a biker gang.
Oh, yeah.
Where they get, like, shit happens with the biker gang, and they crash the car.
Yeah.
Chrissy's thrown into the field. Hoyt arrives, Officer Hoyt. He kills the biker and makes them put the body in the car, so he's doing the same old shit.
Yeah.
Man, wish I watched these movies like yesterday.
I know, it's been a few weeks. We've been busy.
And then he hates him because one of them is avoiding the draft, and he's fucking, I don't know if you've ever seen Arlie Ermey, but he's a big fan of Vietnam War.
Patriot.
He, what else?
Yeah.
What else?
Well, I know the first death was also a hammer. I remember taking note of that.
Oh, let's see.
And
I got it right here.
I think that was
what are we at? We're at the beginning?
Yeah, the beginning.
So, yeah, dies after, well, the first death technically is Sloane Murphy, who is the mother of Leatherface.
Oh, yeah.
She
dies in childbirth.
She
right?
dies in childbirth.
Yeah.
Then Leatherface kills the boss,
right?
Who almost killed
with a
him.
hammer. That's how he kills him.
With a sledgehammer.
That's
right.
That's what it is.
So technically, the first
Leatherface
the first kill,
the Leatherface,
the first kill,
yeah.
is hammer time. Then Sheriff Winston is killed by Hoyt.
Yep.
Alex is shot in the chest by Sheriff Hoyt. Mm-hmm. Then we get a saw. Holden. Chainsawed by Thomas.
Okay. That is the boyfriend, or is that is the boyfriend's brother?
Holden is.
See, me not remembering it makes it affect my ranking. I feel like
kind of the same.
Yeah.
Well, but the other ones were so ridiculous. 4 is ridiculous, hard not to forget.
Yeah.
I mean, hard to forget.
It is.
2 is so ridiculous, hard not to remember.
Well, 2 is up. 2's my third. 2's ranked 3 for me.
Yeah,
that's 3 for me. 3, like I think the top, those 3 are actually to me like good, and then they start losing it a little bit in this era of like the beginning and the next generation in 2022 is kind of like they're not great, but they're like the watchable. I might have to bump Next Gen over this one. I'm not sure. I might be bumping Next Gen into my top 4. We'll come back to that.
I'm just reminding myself of the rankings right now.
Yeah.
I mean, should we just skip through it then?
Yeah, we're getting there. I think because they start losing it for me after this one, really. I do. Let's note the ending for this one because Jordana Brewster's like the main girl.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, there's a final girl.
A final.
And she's driving away. Typically, it's always a drive away with the main girl.
And we feel like she's got it.
Yes.
This is it. This is the end. She survived.
And then Leatherface is somehow in the backseat and chainsaw through the back.
She done.
She's dead.
Good way to end a prequel.
It is. It's smart because like there's no getting away. There's no note of that happening in history. Where all of them kind of reference history and talk about like that. And like since she never got away, no one ever reported it, so no one knows about this massacre. And she got chainsawed, so good ending. No chainsaw dance, but good ending. He could have danced in the end of 2022. That would have been the best. Did he? Was he? He was just holding it.
He just. But I fucking loved that visual. He didn't dance. He didn't dance, but just that visual of the end was so good.
He made too old to dance?
He's getting old, man.
He was up there. Old man at that point.
He can't be the same guy, right?
I mean, if he's like...
How old was he in 74? 18?
Sure.
19?
If he was like,
16?
say he's 20, he would have been 70 in the newest one, which is, you know,
he was moving around a little faster than that.
He was a big boy. I don't know. Some of the timelines don't line up.
Yeah, like what's her name?
3D. Like that's the next one. We'll breeze over that because I know you watch that. But yeah, that's the whole next one is like you think
Let's
it's gonna be.
get to it. 3D.
Yeah.
Evil wears many faces.
Yeah, she it's the very following day of the first one. They basically attack the Sawyer family and burn down the house. Then except someone steals a baby. Cut 40 years later, presumably. That baby is now 25, and just go with it.
Copy.
That's all I learned from this one. Just go with it. Can be fun. That's Alexandra Daddario. I don't understand her name. She finds out she inherited this property from her long lost family, and her friends go to check it out. It's the Sawyer house. It's the Leatherface house, but it's like nice because it's like it was like rebuilt or remodeled or something after the fire apparently. And yeah.
So wait, so it's like a nice house?
So it's like a nicer house. Yeah, it's like a nice like old Texas house. Like
I didn't realize it's not like a dilapidated old.
No, it's actually like a nice place. Except they like find a secret passage to like the basement, and then that's where it's all fucked up, and that's where Leatherface lives.
Okay, I was gonna say where does he live in the nice house?
Yeah, he lives in the basement. Yeah,
so it's kind of a mix. So it's a nice house, but there's that underground kind of TCM2 feeling.
Yeah, what's funny about it is that there's a note that like the realtor gives her, and she wants you to read this before you accept the house or blah blah blah, and she just kind of like puts it in her purse and doesn't read it. So, fast forward a little bit, all of her friends die. Murdered by Leatherface.
And how is he killing them? Is he killing them like secretly? Is he popping out of the hole, pulling them down and killing them? Is there a sledgehammer?
I think one of them does finds like the passage door and goes in there, and he's like looking for some shit in the kitchen. Then he like finds the trap or the secret door, and then he goes into the basement. And then Leatherface kills the first guy in the basement.
So the first one, classic, stumbles upon him.
I also think that's a hammer death.
Let's see. Dies of natural causes. Daryl. Bludgeoned to death with a hammer by Jedediah. Okay, so this is where he's Jedediah now.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of deaths before Leatherface kills, but because of the gang shootings in the beginning.
The gang shoot. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the
whole
biker.
A bunch of family gets murdered.
Unnamed. So and according to this, they're all Sawyers that get murdered.
Yeah, that's that whole family. Yeah, it's like the whole family gets like basically murdered and the house is burnt down. Presumably Leatherface was in there too, but somehow Leatherface escaped it.
Bert and the gang. Who's Bert and the gang?
Bert and the gang? Is that who burns them?
Yeah, so that's...
He's sort of like the vigilante locals.
So we see that kind
of... It's like a group of vigilante locals burning down the house and attacking.
Did you explain that?
Kind of.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, it's all good. It's like the very next day. It's like after Sally presumably escapes.
Copy.
We think that because it's first the cops and then a bunch of locals show up and then attack the house.
Yeah, because the cops didn't do what they needed to do, which is going to be a
classic
on-occurring theme here.
Yes.
So the first death by Jed is one
of her friends,
bludgeoned to death, Daryl.
Yes, Daryl, and
hit
then
with a sledgehammer.
And then for some reason, her boyfriend and her best friend are like hooking up in the shed.
Hooking is a great word.
Yeah, I didn't even mean that, but that's what happens. And then
because Kenny is then impaled on a meat hook,
right? And then Leatherface comes up, sees our main character, Alexandra. I don't know her name in this movie. Daddario. Let's find her name. Heather. That's. Yep.
What a name.
Heather. He sees Heather, chases her, then later sees that the friends hooking up in the shed. He hears them, and then he chases after them. So our main girl gets away, and then when our main girl gets away, like those vigilante guys kidnap her for some reason because they realize she's a Sawyer too.
So he sees like a birthmark, right?
Eventually, Leatherface does, because then Leatherface tracks those guys down, kills those guys, and then they have her tied up, and then he goes to kill her,
and he sees
then he sees the birthmark with a titty kind of half popping out, and then they join forces, somehow, and then I don't know, some shit happens,
How do they? At what point is she like, all right, this is how? What are the cops doing that they need vigilante justice?
Her shift is very sudden. Once she realizes, like, oh, we're family. Okay, we're cool now. Like, it's one of those. Like,
does he save her at some point?
He basically saves her because he goes to like track her down, but she's tied up with the vigilante guys, and then he kills the vigilante guys and then saves her, and then they live happily ever after. And then later she reads the note and it explains the whole thing about like how Jebediah is living in the basement and blah 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 blah.
Jedediah,
and like
the Leatherface.
Yeah, Leatherface. Like how just leave him be and everything's gonna be fine. He loves his family. You guys are family. It's all good. So that was 3D basically in a nutshell, where she just yeah. So she just lives with Leatherface after this, and they're just like
brother sister,
fun cousins,
hanging out.
Yeah, basically.
That's weird.
It's
for a $20 million budget. That's weird. That was half of that went to 3D.
The biggest budget of any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. I checked this.
It doubled it.
Yeah.
More than doubled it.
Really fucking dumb. It's fun at times to watch because it's like one of those. This is so dumb, it's funny.
It also came out 2 years later. I mean,
it was
I'm sorry,
real
10
quick.
years.
Yeah, real quick.
Actually, no. When did the last one come out before that?
I think 07 or 06. 06. So yeah, 11.
Yeah. So I mean.
Oh no, not even.
Almost
this was like 6 years later.
Yeah, almost 10 years ish later. About people were ready for.
No, this was this was 13.
People were ready for 13 or 17.
This was 17 was Leatherface.
Oh, okay.
So this was 13. So this was only like 5 or 6 years later. It's a very quick to do a new storyline already.
It did better than the last one. That's all.
Yeah, because I think
trying to justify
and that's
that somehow.
probably what they were trying for is because the beginning bombed. So they're like, oh, let's just give them a new story already. I mean, they keep doing it with the Spider-Mans. So.
Yeah, actually, I was just reading that here. They needed to pay New Line Cinema. Originally, the film of the last one, the beginning, was called The Origin. New Line Cinema had to pay $3.1 million, more than expected, in order to keep the rights of the franchise after Dimension Field made a large offer to buy it. So they were, I don't know if they were making it to keep it, but they certainly wanted to hold on to the name New Line.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, let's just keep making new ones. Anything else to say about 3D?
I don't think so. Pretty goofy. Didn't really make sense timeline wise. A lot of strange plot holes. But they lived happily ever. The strangest ending probably of all of them. Yeah.
All right.
Check it out. Probably
I'm gonna watch it. Strangest ending? Don't tell me.
I mean, I pretty much just did.
They just live happily ever after? Do they really? They just go home together or what?
Basically, they just started living in the house. They just start cohabitating this house now, and it's all good. And I don't remember the
no Illuminati,
maybe
no
strange.
nothing?
I don't think so. They're just like, oh, we're family. Family's family. So
actually, that wasn't this one. But in the Texas Chainsaw 4, the tagline is "Saw is family."
Right. Right. It's on his saw, right?
Yep, his golden saw that he's given in the fourth one. Yeah. Taglines, real quick. What happens is what happens is true. Now the motion picture is just as real. What happens was true. Now the motion picture is just as real. That was the original one. That's kind of fucking lame. 1990. After a decade of silence, the buzz is back. Ooh. Didn't write down the third one. 1995, The Next Gen, The Saw is Family. 2003, Inspired by a True Story. 2006.
Oh, isn't The Saw is Family, isn't that 3? Because that's on the blade.
Is that which one's the gold chainsaw? That's the third one?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the Saw is Family one. Does he have a gold chainsaw? Is that gold? I just know that's the one that has the
Saw is Family
on the chainsaw.
Okay, so then that's the third one. I don't know what the fourth one is then. 2003, Inspired by a True Story. 2006, Witness the Birth of Fear. 3D was Evil Wears Many Faces. Leatherface, The Monster Lies Within. and 2002 is The Face of Madness Returns.
All right.
Let's talk about Leatherface briefly because we already covered that one in like the beginning. Bad.
Yeah.
Stupid. Another unnecessary origin situation.
Worst one. Skipping
2022.
I thought I had hopes because there has like not the leads, but there's some bigger name actors like Steven Dorff and
Lily Taylor.
Lily Taylor, yeah. Like I thought they would have more.
She dies pretty quickly, doesn't she?
No, she doesn't die. She's just in the beginning and then the very end. It's like she's not in most of it because most of it.
I remember her getting her face smashed in or something.
Maybe later. No, because she's the mother. She's the mom.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
Like she goes back to protect her, and she makes the Leatherface mask, the original one that's just like part of his face. It's fucking stupid. The worst.
Steven Dorff, Lily Taylor.
3D is my third worst. Second worst being 3.
3D is my I think my third worst is also. Oh wait, hold on. I don't know. I'll talk. I'll get into them.
Yeah.
Let's just go to the last one.
Yeah, last one.
I really like this one. It's top 4.
Okay.
In fact, it's number 4.
Okay.
I like this one. This is about woke, social media influencers that are going to Texas that they have purchased property, or they've also inherited
like
property.
They bought a town. It didn't really explain that.
They bought a house. Oh, that's what they did. They bought a house that was foreclosed.
Yeah.
It was owned by this lady who's still living in the house.
Yeah.
She says it's still her house. They say it's not. The whole idea behind it is, yes, they're going to this. They bought this house for cheap. This whole town is essentially going for foreclosure. So they're going to bring all these city folk in to gentrify the place. That's exactly what they're doing. I mean, that's their whole plan. This place is going to be a little market. This place is going to be a coffee shop. It's an art studio. Just shit that people don't like.
Keep talking about like making it like the new Austin.
Yeah, exactly. And they're coming from Austin, so it's modern day. Hipster kids, whatever the next generation that's not us is, and chaos ensues. I'm not sure who the first kill is on that one.
Well,
but
the old lady dies from like.
That's right. She just has like a heart attack,
and then that sets off Leatherface in the ambulance. He kills the people in the ambulance, and then it crashes. And then he kills their friend, like the girlfriend of the main guy, of the lead influencer guy. It's like a series of that, and they're back at the house doing woke stuff, like trying to, and they bring in a bus full of hipsters.
Yeah, they bring the bus full of people to I mean, let's just go straight to that scene. How many people die in that?
That's a lot. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. Well, it starts with, like, I guess like the main character is the girl that like survived a school shooting.
Yeah.
And then she's got an annoying sister who's like.
I forgot about the whole school shooting thing. That's like.
Yeah.
So popular. School shootings are so like cool these days.
Yeah,
it's like
everyone's
just
doing it.
Part of the thing.
Part of the norm.
That didn't ever really come back though.
It was reoccurring because there was like random things that she would have a
flashback.
She'd like the guy, like that one dude that was like that they ran into that talk shit, like the Texas guy.
Yeah, the Texas guy.
Yeah, like the mechanic or whatever.
Who was coal rolling on him.
Yeah, and he had a gun. She's like, "Oh, you ever fired one of these?" And she's like, and she gets all freaked out.
She's like, "I've been shot at."
Yeah,
but then she was kind of into it too.
Yeah, she's. I don't know.
But I mean, it never came. It was
so
like
terrible.
The only thing that happened with that was that she overcame her fear of guns and like picked up a gun and shot it.
And then during the bus scene when all those people were getting murdered, it was kind of like a flashback to that because she was like back seeing like people die in front of her and stuff like that. But it didn't seem like that big of a. It didn't seem like a big part of the movie.
It didn't make us feel any better or worse, and it didn't like. It's not like we saw her gain her courage from it, or like change from it, or overcome anything from it. Like I said, other than being able to pick up the gun.
Yeah, it was just there were just these traumatized characters. I don't know. It's what these fucking
traumatized characters in a
They're just all triggered. Everything triggers them
in a triggering situation. But also, we're just dropped in these situations. There's no beginning, middle, or end other than what we're seeing in the beginning, middle, and end. They're just they're on their way doing something already, and they're stopped on the way by these people. The shit happens, and then they continue on with their lives. Whoever's left over.
Yeah,
that's all these movies.
Pretty much. True. But I just hate the characters in this.
You just hated the characters. But that's why I liked it, because I feel like the whole time I was like, these people suck. But I didn't feel like that. I feel like they wanted us to have that kind of feeling toward them.
So we're happy when they die? Is that part of it?
No, but like, I don't think we were supposed to be on their side necessarily, because I think I don't think we were supposed to want them to die. But like in the first movie, they're doing shit they're not necessarily supposed to be doing, or like out in the like they're not breaking into people's house. They're kind of breaking into someone's house. But
I mean, that's always sort of a horror theme. It's like always like
these stupid kids are gonna get their comeuppance.
Kids are having sex, or they're doing drugs, and they're fucking around, and they're getting, it's the theme.
That's
and now it's these woke kids trying to gentrify a town. So I guess that it makes sense.
After 48 years in hiding, Leatherface returns.
Yeah. And the whole Sally thing, I thought that whole thing was fucking stupid.
So yeah, this one's
that was a whole unnecessary bit.
This one's directly off of the first one, right? I don't think I don't think 2 through 6 have anything to do with this one, right?
No, I don't think so. I think this is just supposed to be a direct, like from the first one to this one.
Now 40 years later.
The other ones.
So again, I think it's like they're doing what Danny McBride and what's his name did with Halloween. So. They're just like, fuck all the other ones. Let's just make the one we want, like we wish we would have had. And there will probably be another one after this, hopefully by the same people. I would like to see this same Leatherface killing the game, pulling people out of cars and cutting their heads off.
Right, out of Teslas.
So good.
That was a great. Those parts were good. Like when he got on the bus and they started they pulled out their cell phones. It's like, you're gonna get canceled, bro. And then he just fucking murders. And they're like live streaming him just fucking killing everybody on the bus. That was pretty wild.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. I think I think I was annoyed by the same things, but I think I accepted it because everyone ended up getting murdered anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think that's fun. I mean, fuck. That's a lot of movies. John Larroquette came back for this one.
Who dat?
He's the original voice of the Skrull in 1974.
Oh, okay.
Like that guy?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a Skrull in that one.
Mm-hmm. They skipped the Skrull. Another thing they kind of subvert in the 2003 remakes. They skipped the Skrull. They have like an opening narration, I think, if I remember, but it's like a montage of murder.
Yeah, isn't it like a police investigating the house?
Right.
That's what it is.
Because at the end, like they're like,
go back to that, and he gets murdered by the.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Leatherface does lose his arm in that one. We never mentioned that. He loses what's her face chops off Leatherface's arm with a butcher knife, and then he has only one arm to do the crazy.
At the end, that's right.
To do the crazy chainsaw.
That's
dance.
right.
So that's different too. 2003 is a great one.
Iconic scene in the last one, like we said, the Tesla driving itself away with the sister out of the sunroof, watching her sister's head being held in the face of Leatherface. Still alive. Leatherface is still gonna be doing the same shit. That's why they got to make another one.
True.
Iconic. I'll make a poster out of that one. And again, both scenes: her driving away, the church in the background. They're in a ghost town. With this electric self-driving car instead of a truck driver. I mean, just that scene, and then Leatherface holding the head. Both perfect. Just perfect.
Right.
Great ending. I think the ending made me like that movie more than I think the ending really solidified how much I like that.
It saved it for me.
Saved it.
For a while, like when I was watching it, I was kind of slightly thinking about the rank in my head as I watched these. And there was a time where, like, 2022 was, I don't know about the worst one, but it was maybe under 3D until the ending.
Okay.
And only at the ending did it help jump up a little bit.
Okay.
And at first I was even ranking it debating about going over next gen. I don't think so. I think next gen's gonna be higher for me. And yeah, I don't know if we can go over the.
Let's do it.
Go
Tell
over
me.
the
Hold
rankings.
on.
Do we have
1,
any, do
2,
anything else
3,
to
4,
say?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Nine
Why do I
total.
only have 7 here?
I don't know. Well, you skipped 3D. You didn't watch that one.
Yeah, but I just put that as my last one since I
That's
didn't
fair.
watch it. All right.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You got the remake, and then the remake prequel, and then 3D, and then the 3D prequel, and then the new sequel. I can help you feel. Let's go with.
Let's just go with
number
them.
number one.
one,
The
Texas
first
Chainsaw.
one,
The first one,
yes.
1974.
Yeah. Number 2,
2003.
2003. I agree.
Excellent.
Very good.
3
is 2 for me.
is 1990s or no, 1986.
1986 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
Okay, hold on. That's where I fucked up here.
Okay. So we have the same. We have the same top 3. Seems to be.
Do we?
Do we? Yeah. The original, the remake, requel, whatever. 2003, and then 2 is number 3.
I'm gonna put 2024 or 2022 as 3.
Oh wow. You like that more than number 2?
Yeah.
Damn. 'Cause number 20 or 2 is fucking great. I think there's just times where it meanders a bit too much for me. Like 2 could have been a solid number 2, but 2003 is just very good.
I'm gonna put 2020. I'm gonna put 2022 and 20 in this and number 2 interchangeable for my 3.
It's fair. Yeah, I almost had that interchanging at 5 with next gen, but next gen's now my number 4.
Next gen's my 5
Okay.
because it's right under 4.
Fair.
TCM2.
Fair.
I just like that one. I like the new one a lot. I think that's
Okay.
that's just my main point.
It's fun. The beginning was my number 4, but after talking about it, I feel like it's forgettable. And now it's number 5 for me.
I dropped. Yep, copy you. 5 is my next gen, and I dropped beginning to 6.
Yep. And then my 6 is 2022. Not a fan. Loved the ending. Mostly annoying movie. A lot of unnecessary bullshit.
Copy you.
I'm like mad at the Sally part. Like I just that whole like the even them like they just did not need it at all.
It was a little
and
unnecessary.
Sally's not even nearly as iconic as Laurie Strode.
No.
Like I get that you're
No.
going the same idea of like skip all the sequels and she wasn't in the
We
sequels.
love
like, come
Laurie.
on, Laurie
We didn't
Strode
know Sally.
is so iconic. Yeah, and like Sally is she's just one of the teenagers and she happened to be the one that escaped. Like Laurie was an iconic character.
100%. I couldn't agree with more. We just knew and loved Laurie a lot more.
Right. And it's Jamie Lee Curtis
Jamie Lee
versus
fucking Curtis,
versus
dude.
who?
Scream Queen.
I don't even know this.
Daughter of OG Scream Queen.
Right. Classic.
Also tied to Psycho.
True.
So my 5 is next gen, and my 6 is the beginning, 2006,
Okay.
the remake of the prequel of the remake.
Okay. Right, and it's hard to.
And
So
then I
number
have
6,
3D. I'm assuming I'll like better than Leatherface.
Yeah, 3D is my number 7 because it's fun.
Cool.
It's not good.
We match on that
but
one.
it's fun. After that, my second to bottom is number 3 because it's very blah,
Copy.
whatever. And Leatherface is my bottom because it's dog shit. Really, 3 and the ones called Leatherface
Yep.
are just bad,
Yep.
straight up bad.
So same. My final 2 are Leatherface and TCM3. Interchangeably bad.
All right.
I enjoyed TCM3 so little
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah. It took me. It's boring. It's very boring.
Fucking A, dude.
Like Friday the 13th, which I don't really care for that much.
Friday the 13th. Yeah,
Yeah.
those. I agree.
If we're talking about iconic horrors, you have your Jasons, your Michaels, your Freddys, and your Leatherface. And Jason is just kind of his movies are blah.
He's just kind of blah. He has no personality.
Yeah.
I like personality. I think Jason took Leatherface and took his personality away. That's kind of what Jason is.
And Michael Myers, the lack of personality, the lack of humanity is what makes Michael Myers great.
That's true.
Where Jason just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
And Michael Myers is
for
also
a
like
few
invincible
movies.
somehow.
Yeah.
So is Jason.
And I still think Halloween is like the best horror movie maybe ever. Like I feel like after watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre versus the Halloweens, if we're talking about last year, I feel like as a whole I liked more of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, but I still like Halloween the movie
strays so far from its like original.
It goes in so many directions.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Myers isn't even in a couple of them.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, but
Season of the Witch.
But some of them are just out there and it's just so loopy.
They're
a little more. Yeah, these feel a little more closer connected.
Huge fan of these movies.
These were good.
I have not watched them. Like these weren't my go-tos when I was into like when I was getting into horror movies. It was definitely Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween were my two go-tos.
Great.
So I'm happy I got to. I not only watched the first one like thoroughly, but I've seen almost all of them now, and I have an opinion on them. It's great.
Yeah,
I could talk about Leatherface all day. We just talked about him for over 2 hours. Minus Schwartz.
Yes.
Sorry, Schwartz couldn't make it on this one.
Yeah. Scheduling conflicts.
But
we
that's
tried.
Okay.
We tried.
We're gonna get his opinion at some point.
Yeah. We had to get the one. We had to get it out for Halloween, so we had to do it without him.
But that's okay. He'll be mad. You probably
He'll be
won't
mad.
listen to it.
And it'll be a happy Halloween.
But
for
you know what?
everybody else.
Happy. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
From making me watch movies to you. Go watch every Leatherface movie